おはびこ。はい、画面が来てない。日本語 OK。 これをこれかな。よし。ビコありがとう。かきごおりさんおはびこ。ぴょんちさんおはびこ。いけぞおはびこびこ。ベルニキおはおはおはびこびこびこ。眠いやすみさんおはびこ。オレンさんおはびこ。フルーツポンチさんおはびこ。サウィングさんおはびこ。アンドさんこんにちは。今日はね、このザ・スタンリー・パラボーをやるんですが、実は一回やってんだよね。前作っていうかリメイクなのかな。なんかウルトラデラックス版っていう強化されて帰ってきたんだけど強化されて帰っていた。これね、前のやつは、ね、ちょっとやってまして、とてもいいゲームなんですよ。はい、待って、音スピーカーが出てる。パソコンがギリギリ見えるくらい。全然見えないね。みんなの画面だとどうなんだろうこれ。このくらいで見えてんのかな。ギリギリ見えるくらい。見えてるこれ。見える。うっすら見えるけど、このくらい上げないと見えないんだけど、本当にこれ画面がさ、真ん中でも見えてる？本当？これ画面暗いのかな。うっすらいるのはわかるっていう感じ。パソコンって言われないとなんだかわかんないくらいなんだけど。本当に真ん中でも見えてる。こっちで設定されるとガンマ上げても見れん。普通に見えてる。みんな普通に見えてるの？土下座さんおはびこびこ。岩飛さんおはびこ。早速見たいこと聞かれてる。そうなのね。デフォでも見えてるけど環境によりそう。意外とみんな見えてんだ。 じゃあまあビコリはこれじゃないと見えないからこれにして確認。はい。現在の時刻を教えてください。入力してください。何時？あれ、なんだこの時計。15時ってどうすれば行くの？なんだこの時計は。PM？ 何時？ 3 時？ 3 時？ PM？ PM ってどっち？ PM8？ 9にして、9になった。OK、これでいいんだよね。注意、アクセシビティ設定はメインメニューからアクセスできます。アクセシビティ設定何？ OK。3時 PM？PM が午後。始まった。プレイ中。これ撮れないか？そう、ここに画面が映ってる。フルパソコン。セッティング。見てわかる通り、今初めて起動しました。まあそのままでいいかな。なんかでかいな。解像度適用。音声も大丈夫でしょ。コントロール。まあこれくらいしか使わないし。オートウォークとかあんだ。へえ。インタラクト追加？まあなんか難しいことしないし。やるか。1分さんは行こう。
This is the story of a man named Stanley.
これはスタンリーという名の男の物語。
スタンリーは
大きなビルで、待って、英語なんだけど。働いていました。従業員番号427の仕事は至って単純。427番の部屋でデスクに向かい、キーボードのボタンを押すだけです。指令は机のモニターを通してきました。どのボタンをどのくらい長く押せばいいのかを教えてくれるんです。見えるか？従業員427は何ヶ月も何年もこの作業を日々繰り返していました。他の人たちにとって魂が引き裂かれるようだったかもしれません。しかしスタンリーは指令が入るたび楽しんでいました。まるでこの仕事をするために生まれてきたかのように、スタンリーは幸せでした。そしてある日、なんだかとても奇妙なことが起きたのです。そんなスタンリーを永遠に変えてしまうような何か、彼が決して忘れることがないであろう何か。1時間近くデスクに向かっていたのに、モニターから一つも指令が来ていないことに気づきました。彼に指令を出す人も会議を開く人も挨拶をする人さえも誰もいません。入社してから一度だってこんな完全な孤立はありませんでした。明らかに何か変だ。ショックで固まったスタンリーは長いこと身動きが取れなくなっていました。しかし落ち着きを取ります。ボトルに戻すとデスクを離れ彼の部屋を出て行きました。はい、動けますね。早いな、ちょっと。カメラ感度これかな。で、今のとこ多分お話スキップしたらなんかあったと思う。とりあえず出るか。彼の同僚たちは全員いなくなってしまったのです。どういうことだろう。スタンリーは会議室に向かうことにしました。おそらく彼は伝言。待って、これさ、見えてるみんな。同僚たちの痕跡は見つかりません。かわいいこの電話。 この432の役割何これ432は鉛筆削りする人じゃん。この人同じ給料もらってんの？大丈夫かな？でもここ鉛筆使ってる人いなくない？スタンリーはオフィスのあらゆるものを触ってきました。でも少しも変わらないし、決して物語は進展しませんでした。誰一人として鉛筆使ってないよここにも鉛筆削りあるじゃん。あ、ちょっと本当に実績のためだけにやってるんですか？ドアを5回クリックするってそれだけで実績の価値があると思うんですか？いやいやいやいやいや、そんなちっちゃい努力のために功績なんか与えられませんよ。ちっぽけなクリック5回なんか。じゃあ20回ドアをクリックしたとしよう。そういう努力は認められてもいいと言えるでしょうし。遂行な目標のために真の努力を目の当たりにして、なお私は今だ。50回クリックしたらどうでしょう。そうだ、きっと50回クリックです。これ文字見えてるかな？ちょっと疲れてる。いやダメだ、まだそんな気分になれない。私はこの実績を何か意味のあるものにしたいんです。勇敢な努力に見合った真の報酬でなくてダメなんだ。私は何か全力が欲しいんだよ。私はコミットメントが見たいんだ。417番ドアに20クリックしに行かないの？ 417 どこよ。そっち行けってことね。いやそっち行かないんじゃない？ここなんじゃないか。やっぱ字幕見えてる。じゃあ文字読まなくてもいいか。逆にもう少し大きさ上げらんないのか。あ、字幕サイズ、あ、大きいにしようか。とても大きい。これだったら見えるでしょ。字幕表示、レティクルを表示。あ、レティクルってあれか。どうしよう、めちゃくちゃでかかったりして。417どこよ。ちゃんとセーブしただろうな。進むか。待って、挨拶どこまでいった？レントさんおはびこ、ムラさんおはびこいこうはな。レさんおはびこ、あ、休憩中なんだ。ナタリさんおはびこいこう。にゃんこさんこんにちは。ライフちゃんおはびこいこいこいこいこ。417、あ、この辺じゃない？あれ ?415、416。417ないんだけど。あ、閉まっちゃったよ。見える。彼は左の方のドアに入りました。まあ行くわけないね。これは単体。まあ行かないよね。
Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
4B9? 4...
Ah, yes, truly a room worth admiring. It had really been worth the detour after all, just to spend a few moments here in this immaculate, beautifully constructed room. Stanley simply stood here, drinking it all in.
飲めないか?
Yes, really, really worth it being here in the room. A room so utterly captivating that even though all your co-workers have mysteriously vanished, but eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
ここ入れってか? こ入れって言ってんな。こっち来たよね。
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't 5 years ago.
リラクさんは行こう。待って、41のドアあった？ちょっとクリックしたかったんだけど。とりあえず。
Look, Stanley, I think, but in his eagerness to prove that he is in control of the story and no one gets to tell him what to do, Stanley leapt from the platform and plunged to his death. Good job, Stanley.
Good job,
Everyone
Stanley.
thinks you are very powerful.
よし。あれ？実績解除ならず？ダメか。
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean?
よし、これで
Stanley decided to
417。
go to the meeting room. Perhaps he
な
had
んか
simply
417
missed
ど
a
こにあ
memo.
った？あ、これか。くそ、向こうからやないとダメか。向こう50回やってからか。
Oh, please. Are you really just doing this for the
こういうの
achievement?
戻っちゃうんだ。
Click a door 5 times. Is that all that you think an achievement is worth? No, 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 no. I can't just give these merits away for such little
いや、
effort.
これ面白いんだよな。この
Five
見える？
clicks. Now
字
suppose
幕
you were to
でか
click
く
the
した
door
ら多分
20 times.
ス
I
マ
would
ホ
say
でも見えるかな。
that's the kind of effort that warrants recognition.
英語わかれば。
I have to say, I'm still not feeling the satisfaction of witnessing true effort for a noble cause. Perhaps 50 clicks will do it. Yes,
これなんか
almost
全部切ったらなんかあり
certainly
そう。
50 clicks.
もうクリックしたでしょ今。あ、スマホでも見える？
No, no, I'm still not feeling it.
これね、
I
めちゃ
want
く
this
ちゃ、
achievement to have meant something.
いい
It
ね。
has to be a true reward for valiant effort. I want to see some hustle, Stanley. I want to see commitment, a willingness to go all the way, no matter what the cost. Why don't you go put 20 clicks into door number 417? Oh, great.
おー、素晴
Now,
らしい。
go
で
click
は、
a few times on door 437.
437ってどこ？進んだところか？ないもんね、こっちね。あった。
Excellent.
最
I
高。
think we're
何かうまくい
getting
ってる気
somewhere.
がします。
Now door 415. Let's give it 10 clicks or so.
進んだとこだよな、415。この先だよな。あ、これだ。
Now back to door number 437.
437ドアへ戻って。これなんもなさそう。やった後に何もないとかありそう。戻っ
Let's
て。
see. How about you
コ
click
ピ
on,
ー機に
well,
ク
I
リッ
don't
クす
know,
るって。
the copy machine.
これ？
All right, back to room 417. I'm really feeling it now. I think we're getting somewhere.
417どこ？そこだっけ？あ、これね。
Okay, now go climb on employee 419's desk.
419のデスクに登る？やばい、すごい指示通りやっちゃってるよ。思うツボなんじゃないか？どこだす？ 419のデスクってどこ？この辺かな？あ、これだ。どうやって登るの？ジャンプはどこ？ジャンプどこ？スペースだよな。スペース押してんのかな。スペースで飛ばねえこいつ。
Yes,
Oh,
this is
okay.
great. You're putting it all on the line, Stanley. I like that. All right, let's keep it up. Go give me a few clicks on door 416.
416。
We've almost got it. Now the copy machine, do that one again.
盛り上がってきたナレーション。お使い気になってる。
Finish it off, Stanley! 5 clicks on door 430! Yes! We did it!
Oh, wow. That felt amazing. Oh, you really earned it, Stanley. Nothing could hold you back. Yes, I'm very proud of how far we've come today. Just think, only a few minutes ago, you believed an achievement was worth 5 little clicks. Really now, what were you thinking?
こことか入れないかな。今実績を解除したぜ。
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
上司のオフィスに行く。How to st なるね。え To do なのね。You most of all 何の会社なんだろうね。これ見てればなんかありそう。でジャンプがねできないんだよな。ジャンプできない。まあいいか、進むか。
Stanley stepped into the broom closet, but there was nothing here, so he turned around and got back on track.
なんかないんか？本当に何もないか？でもなんか襲ってくるかもしれないし、持ってこうぜ。
There was nothing here. No choice to make, no path to follow. Just an empty broom closet. No reason to still be here.
出ろって言われてる。出ろって言われてるけど、いやでもきっと何かあるかもしれない。
It was baffling that Stanley was still just sitting in the broom closet. He wasn't even doing anything. At least if there was something to interact with, he'd be justified in some way. As it is, he's literally just standing there doing sweet FA.
文字量すごいよな。
Are you really still in the broom closet? Standing around doing nothing? Why? Please offer me some explanation here. I'm genuinely confused.
心から戸惑っているんです。この会社なんだろうな。何する会社？鉛筆削る会社なの。
You do realize there's no choice or anything in here, right? If I'd said Stanley walked past the broom closet, at least you would have had a reason for exploring it to find out. But it didn't even occur to me because literally this closet is of absolutely no significance to the story whatsoever. I never would have thought to mention it.
まだ何か喋るかな。
Maybe to you this is somehow its own branching path. Maybe when you go talk about this with your friends you'll say, "Oh, did you get the broom closet ending? The broom closet ending was my favorite." I hope your friends find this concerning.
物置エンド。
Stanley was fat and ugly and really, really stupid. He probably only got the job because of a family connection. That's how stupid he is. That or with drug money. Also, Stanley is addicted to drugs and hookers.
これはもう終わったかな、物置。
Well, I've come to a very definite conclusion about what's going on right now.
いや、まだ続いてんのか、これ。
You got to this broom closet,
まだ
explored
続
it
いてんだ。
and were just about to leave because there's nothing here when a physical malady of some sort shut down your central nervous system and you collapsed on the keyboard. Well, in a situation like this, the responsible thing is to alert someone nearby so as to ensure that your body is taken care of before it begins to decompose. Hello? Anyone who happens to be nearby? The person at this computer is dead. They have fallen prey to any number of your countless human physiological vulnerabilities. It's indicative of the long-term sustainability of your species. Please remove their corpse from the area and instruct another human to take their place, making sure they understand basic first-person video game mechanics and filling them in on the history of narrative tropes in video gaming, so that the irony and insightful commentary of this game is not lost on them.
言ってることが
When you've done that, just step out into the hallway.
廊下に出ろって言われちゃったな。廊下に出ろって言われちゃったけど、これもう本当に終わったのか。ニャトさん、はい、行こう。いやもうずっとメタ的要素あ、これ終わったっぽいな。ずっとメタいこと言ってんだよな。いやこれ全部終わったかな。
Ah, second player. It's good to have you on board. I guarantee you can't do any worse than the person who came before you. You too? Unbelievable. I'm at the mercy of an entire species of invalids. Perhaps there's a monkey nearby you can hand the controls to. A fish? Fungus? Look, you can hammer out the details. I'm not particularly picky. I'll just be waiting for when you're ready to pick up the story again.
すごいんだなこのゲーム。
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
あ？これか。
But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss, admitting he had left his post during work hours. He might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished? His boss would think he was crazy. And then something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. All of my co-workers blinking mysteriously out of existence in a single moment for no reason at all? None of it made any logical sense. And as Stanley pondered this, he began to make other strange observations. For example, why couldn't he see his feet when he looked down? Why did doors close automatically behind him wherever he went? And for that matter, these rooms were starting to look pretty familiar. Were they simply repeating? No, Stanley said to himself, this is all too strange. This can't be real. And at last, he came to the conclusion that had been on the tip of his tongue. He just hadn't found the words for it. I'm dreaming, he yelled. This is all a dream. Oh, what a relief Stanley felt to have finally found an answer, an explanation. His co-workers weren't actually gone. He wasn't going to lose his job. He wasn't crazy after all. And he thought to himself, I suppose I'll wake up soon. I'll have to go back to my boring real-life job pushing buttons. I may as well enjoy this while I'm still lucid. So, he imagined himself flying and began to gently float above the ground. Then he imagined himself soaring through space on a magical starfield, and it too appeared. It was so much fun, and Stanley marveled that he had still not woken up. How was he remaining so lucid? And then perhaps the strangest question of them all entered Stanley's head. One he was amazed he hadn't asked himself sooner. Why is there a voice in my head dictating everything that I'm doing and thinking? Now the voice was describing itself being considered by Stanley, who found it particularly strange. I'm dreaming about a voice describing me, thinking about how it's describing my thoughts, he thought. And while he thought it all very odd and wondered if this voice spoke to all people in their dreams, the truth was that, of course, this was not a dream. How could it be? Was Stanley simply deceiving himself, believing that if he's asleep, he doesn't have to take responsibility for himself? Stanley is as awake right now as he's ever been in his life. Now, hearing the voice speak these words was quite a shock to Stanley. After all, he knew for certain, beyond a doubt, that this was in fact a dream. Did the voice not see him float and make the magical stars just a moment ago? How else would the voice explain all that? This voice was a part of himself too. Surely, if he could just... He would prove it. He would prove that he was in control. that this was a dream. So he closed his eyes gently, and he invited himself to wake up. He felt the cool weight of the blanket on his skin, the press of the mattress on his back, the fresh air of a world outside this one. Let me wake up, he thought to himself. I'm through with this dream. I wish it to be over. Let me go back to my job. Let me continue pushing the buttons. Please.
ボタンを押す仕事に戻らせてくれ。
I want my apartment, and my wife, and my job. All I want is my life exactly the way it's always been. My life is normal. I am normal. Everything will be fine.
すべてうまくいく。
I am okay.
ダメでした。ダメでしたと。
Stanley began screaming.
Please, someone wake me up. My name is Stanley. I have a boss. I have an office. I am real. Please, just someone tell me I am real. I must be real. I must be. Can anyone hear my voice? Who am I? Who am I?
And everything went black.
っていうエンドね。
This is the story of a woman named
これはマ
Mariella.
リエラという名の女の物語。なんか新しいの
Mariella
始まったけ
woke
ど。
up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, gathered her belongings, and walked to her place of work.
何これ
But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. And although she would soon turn to go call for an ambulance, for just a few brief moments, she considered the strange man.
これスタン
He
リー
was
か
obviously crazy. This much she knew. Everyone knows what crazy people look like. And in that moment, she thought to herself how lucky she was to be normal. I am sane. I am in control of my mind. I know what is real and what isn't.
早く救
It
急
was
車呼んでくれよ
comforting。to think this. And in a certain way, seeing this man made her
い
feel
い気分に
better.
なるなよ。
But then she remembered the meeting she had scheduled for that day. The very important people whose impressions of her would affect her career, and by extension, the rest of her life. She had no time for this, so it was only a moment that she stood there, staring down at the
い
body,
や、
and then she turned and ran.
いい感じの音楽で締めるなよ。終わっちゃった。
All of his co-workers were gone.
戻っ
What
てき
could
てよ
it。mean?
実績
Stanley
解除とか
decided
ない
to
ん
go
だ
to
な
the。meeting room. Perhaps he had simply
何
missed a
エン
memo.
ド解除みたいなのないんだ。
When
とりあ
Stanley
えず
came to a set of
一
two
回
open
上司の
doors,
部屋
he
に向か
entered
う
the
か。
door on his left. Yet there was
今の
not a
クリアだ
single
ったの
person
かな。
here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
うわ、上司の部屋すご。すごい部屋だな。こんなとこで仕事できないけど落ち着かないだろ。なんつう絵だ。エレベーターあるけど、あれ乗っていいのか。こっちに来た覚えはあるな。まず普通に進んでみるか。
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this. What dark secret was being held from him? What he could not have known was that the keypad behind the boss's desk guarded the terrible truth that his boss had been keeping from him. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number. 2845. But of course,
2845
Stanley couldn't possibly have known this.
待って、キーボードって言った？キーパッドって何？あ、これか。
Stanley just sat around, yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code by
人
sheer
に
luck.
押したら当たっちゃった。
Amazing. He stepped into the newly opened passageway.
当たっちゃったよ。なんだこの部屋は。何も知らないのに適当に押したら当たっちゃった。
Descending deeper into the building, Stanley realized he felt a bit peculiar. It
下に
was
下が
a
ってる。
stirring of emotion in his chest, as though he felt more free to think for himself, to question the nature of his job. Why did he feel this now, when for years it had never occurred to him? This question would not go unanswered for long.
なんか地下に着いたな。
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read
Mind
Mind Control
Control
Facility.
エスケープ。エスケープ。マインドコントロール。エスケープ。マインドコントロール入るか。まずはね、一旦ね。
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out?
あ、そっち行けってね。すごい場所だな。はい。あ、これね。
Now the monitors jumped to
Wow.
life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one
ど
of
こだ
them,
自分は。
eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing.
どこだっけ？あれか？に違うな。247だっけ？あ、ん？ファイヤードって何？で？こっちか。監視されてた？監視されてたの？
This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his
なんか
boring
来たけ
job?
ど。
That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly?
父さんファミコン乗れってか？
No. He refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never. It was unthinkable. Wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world? But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy or sad or content.
Happy,
Walking,
sad,
eating, working. All of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he would dismantle the controls once and for all.
暗いな。結構暗いぞ。 12コンソールディサーブル、どれかな。マインドコントロールステータスオフライン。順番に押す ?12345 って順番に押す。これ覚えてないな。これなんか順番ありそう。いや125しか見つからないが。進むか。シス
And
テ
when
ム
at
パワ
last
ー。
he found the source of the room's power, he knew it was his duty, his obligation, to put an end to this horrible place and to everything it stood for. Oh, Stanley, you didn't just activate the controls, did you? After they kept you enslaved all these years, you go and you try to take control of the machine for yourself. Is that what you wanted? Control? Oh, Stanley, I applaud your effort, I really do. But you need to understand, there's only so much that machine can do. You were supposed to let it go. Turn the
これ
controls
オ
off
フだったか。
and leave. If you want to throw my
従うんだ
story
ったら
off track, you're going to have to do much better than that. I'm afraid you don't have nearly the power you think you do. For example, and I believe you'll find this pertinent, Stanley suddenly realized he had just initiated the network's emergency detonation system. In the event that this machine is activated without proper DNA identification, nuclear detonators are set to explode, eliminating the entire complex. How long until detonation then? Let's say 2 minutes. Ah, now
2
this is making
minutes.
things a little more fun, isn't it, Stanley? It's your time
そう
to
だ、こ
shine.
んなんあったな。
You are the star. It's your story
あー、
now.
やばい。
Shape it to your heart's desires.
はあ。
Oh, this is much better than what I had
で、
in
どうするん
mind.
だっ
What a
け？
shame we have so little time left to enjoy it. Mere moments until the bomb goes off. But what precious moments each one of them is. More time to talk about you, about me, where we're going, what all this means. I barely know where to start. What's that? You'd like to know where your co-workers are?
違うの？
A moment of solace before you're obliterated? All right, I'm in a good mood. You're gonna die anyway. I'll tell you exactly what happened to them. I erased them. I turned off the machine. I set you free. Of course, that was merely in this instance of the story. Sometimes when I tell it, I simply let you sit there in your office forever, pushing buttons endlessly and then
サンタあっ
dying
たよな、どこ
alone.
に。
Other times, I let the office sink into the ground, swallowing everyone inside, or I let it burn to a crisp. I have to say this, though, this version of events has been rather amusing.
わからん。
Watching you try to make sense of everything and take back the
違う。
control wrested away from you, it's quite rich. I almost hate to see it go. But I'm sure whatever I come up with on the next go-around will be even better. My goodness, only 34 seconds left.
おい、これ、
But I'm
わからん。
enjoying this so much. You know what? To hell with it. I'm going to put some extra
が
time
延
on
長
the
します。
clock. Why not?
本当？
These are precious additional seconds, Stanley. Time doesn't grow on trees. Oh dear me, what's the matter, Stanley? Is it that you have no idea where you're going or what you're supposed to be doing right now? Or did you just assume when you saw that timer that something in this room was capable of turning it off? I mean, look at you. Running from button to button, screen to screen, clicking on every little thing in this room. These numbered buttons, no, these colored ones. Or maybe this big red button. Or this
やばい。
door.
また動き始めて
Everything,
る。
anything, something here will save me. Why would you think that, Stanley?
どうすんだ
That
っ
this
け
video game can be beaten? Won? Solved?
1
Do you have
1
any
じゃない
idea what your purpose in this place is?
待って変わった1だよね
Stanley, you're in for quite a disappointment. But here's a spoiler for you. That timer isn't a catalyst to keep the action moving along. It's just seconds ticking away to your death. You're only still playing instead of watching a cutscene because I want to watch you for every moment that you're powerless. To see you made humble. This is not a challenge. It's a tragedy. You wanted to control this world, that's fine. But I'm going to destroy it first, so you can't. Take a look at the clock, Stanley. That's 30 seconds you have left to struggle. 30 seconds until a big boom.
やばいやばいやばい
No ending.
やばそう
Just you being blown to pieces.
これ吹き飛ぶだけ待ってどうすんのこれ
Or will you let it go peacefully? Another choice. Make it count. Or don't. It's all the same to me. All a part of the joke. And believe me, I will be laughing at every second of your inevitable life from the moment we fade in until the moment I say happily ever up.
ああ戻ってきちゃった待って今のとこのさどうするんだったっけあんな感じだったっけなんかもう少し指示通りに押すとかじゃなかったっけでも多分変わってないんだろうな
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it
戻っ
mean?
てきちゃったよ
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. No matter how hard Stanley went around touching every little thing in the office, but it didn't make a single difference, nor did it advance the story in any way.
確かなんかできたはずなんだけど全然わかんなかったななんか止めれそうニューコンテンツ
Oh, new content? What does that mean, new content?
どういうことニューコンテンツってこんなのあったかこれは知らないんだけど皆さんファビコなニューコンテンツってニューコンテンツ
Hello, and thank you for playing the Stanley Parable Ultra
こんに
Deluxe.
ちは
As you may know, the Stanley Parable was a video game released in 2013 on home computers. After receiving critical and commercial success, it was expanded upon in 2022 with the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, a reimagining of the game for consoles and home computers. The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe features exciting new content that broadens and expands the world of the Stanley Parable, delighting audiences the world over.
すごい
Please
動くんだ
step
けど
inside and see what thrilling new adventures await in the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe.
Oh, well, this sounds delightful. I'm very excited to see the thrilling new Ultra Deluxe content.
こっからってこと始まったもしかして
Okay, so far it's an elevator. Nothing special yet, but I'm sure it's just the beginning of a mesmerizing adventure. Is it broken? What's going on here? Should we be moving somewhere or oh, here we go. All right, finally, at long last, it's on to the new content. I've never been more ready. Let's do it.
なんだ何が待ってんだ
I have to say, initial impressions of Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, mostly tedious. It's as if Oh, okay. Let's see the content. Give me the content, Stanley.
あ、こちらの扉が開きますお
All right.
All right, let's see. It's the jump
ジャン
circle.
プサークル、ニューコンテンツ、スペースを押すとジャンプします。ここでしかジャンプできねえ。足疲れちゃう。そんな今までジャンプできなかった人がさ、急に30回もジャンプしたら。ジャンプできなくなっちゃったわジャンプできなくなっちゃったわ。そっか、もともとやっぱジャンプできないよね。メステナさん、こんにちは。これいけないの？何このジャンプサークルって。
Is that it? Surely that's not all the new content. There has to be something else, right?
何だったんだ今の部屋。
Another elevator. Stanley, I have to say, initial impressions of this game are not positive. It's just elevators and jumping. Is this what passes for exciting new content?
そうだな。
If this is new content, then I could just read you the whole dictionary. There's 20 hours of new content right there. Hell, I could count to
20時間分の
30
新コンテン
trillion.
ツ、
You
本
could
当？
put that on the box. The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, now with over 1,000 hours of new content. And if... Oh, wait. There's more. Very good. Yeah.
あ、まだね。
I knew there had to be something
いや
else.
まだある
Let's
と
see
思って
it.
たよ、そりゃ。
I'm ready for whatever it is.
なんだ？ん？
That's it? Oh, you've got to be kidding me. You see, Stanley? This is what happens when greedy video game developers with no respect for their fan base rush a cheap expansion to market for no reason other than to make an easy dollar. And don't get me started on the level of craftsmanship that's gone into it. In fact, I'm looking right now at the game's achievements, and it's hard to believe one of them actually says, "Test achievement, please ignore." What quality assurance department signed off on this? I'm infuriated and I'm offended, and I intend to find these people on Twitter and hold them personally accountable. It's my fault, Stanley. I built up too much anticipation around the new content, I'm afraid. It could never have lived up to such expectations. If you're still with me, why don't we just reset the game and we'll try to get back to what the Stanley Parable is really about. No frills, no gimmicks. Just you and me having a great time together like always. What do you say, friend?
あ、戻された、もしかして。あれ？ん？いつものデスク、いつもと違う部屋。変わった。ん？あ、いつものいつものスタート地点。ん？なんだ？
Stanley, come over here. In the vent. I want to show you something.
あー、なるほど。これそっちに行くとここなのかな。これが新しい要素なんじゃない？なんだ？え？なんか落ちたけど。
Okay, you remember how cheap and unsatisfying the new Ultra Deluxe content turned out to be? Well, it got me thinking about the past and how much better the Stanley Parable used to be. So I made something special and tucked it away here where the game's developers won't find it. Just our little secret. Take a look.
なんだこの部屋。 あ、え、
I
何これ。
call it the memory zone. It's where I've been storing all my favorite memories so I can relive the peak experiences of my life whenever I want. Experiences like the launch of the Stanley Parable on PC.
メモリーゾーン。
You see, Stanley, doesn't the memory zone remind you of how wonderful Stanley Parable was before it was sullied with a cheap re-release? Remember back in October of 2013 when the game originally launched? Back then, video games had integrity. Back then, it all meant something. Oh, the waste.
あ、スチームだ。スチームのページだこれ。スチームのページだね。あ、これはホームページか？ファイアフォックスだ。オリジナルリメイクグッドタイムズ。なんこれ。あ、スタンリー・パラブルって書いてる。あ、アカデミー・オブ・フィルム賞取ったよってことか。はいはいはい。2014年インディペンデントゲームズフェスティバルアワード。この画面あれだな。あれなんですね。これが追加要素かな。んだよね、追加要素だよね。これなんだ？なんだこれ。実績？実績か？なんかいいね。なんかないかって思っちゃうけどないか。つっちゃいけない。何このいい感じの音楽は。
And over here is where I keep reviews of the Stanley Parable. Like this stunning triumph of games journalism. 10 out of 10 from Destructoid.com. James Stephanie Sterling writes, and I quote, "Where so many games that aspire to be more than games end up less than any form of art, Stanley Parable strives and then succeeds to be every game ever created." Did you hear that, Stanley? Every game ever created. That's how grand and all-encompassing the original Stanley Parable was. It was literally every game ever created. It was Skyrim, it was Persona 3, it was all of them. And now, it's nothing. It's no games at all. It isn't even the Stanley Parable anymore. It's just a husk now. A lifeless husk with an hour of new elevator content.
これ実際のやつかな。ぽいな。なんか賞取ったとかね。これ飾ってあんだ。ん？これなんか見たことあんな、このゲーム。このブロック見たことありますね。これ、あ、これも見たことありますね。なんかね。見たことありますよ。 これさっきの画面だ。誰？パーソンオブザイヤー。あ、これさっきの人だね。これなんだ？制作画面か？下気になるんだよな。開かないのか。開かないんか。この辺知らないな。
Here's another moving passage, this time from GameSpot.com. The Stanley Parable is both a richly stimulating commentary on the nature of choice in games and one that offers some of the most enjoyable, surprising, and rewarding choices I've ever been confronted with in a game. 9 out of 10. Don't you get it, Stanley? The game was perfect. It didn't need anything else. It didn't need new content. It just needed to be left alone.To spend the rest of time collecting dust in the hallowed hall of beloved video game memories.
まだ自慢するじゃん。なんでこれ？カーペットテキスチャー。これも実際の画面っぽいよな。攻めすぎてる。あまりにも攻めすぎてる。いけないけど、いけないけど、ジャンプできないのか？ジャンプサークルないじゃねえか。帰るの？
These were simpler times, Stanley. But I wouldn't give to go back to have it all over again. Wait, hang on. I don't recall this part of the memory zone before. What's this? What's down here?
なんだ
？Oh no. Oh God, no. Stanley, it's a collection of reviews from Steam, the online video game distributor. I haven't looked at these in years. I can't even imagine what's been collecting down here.
Steam review.
Surely these reviews were glowing as well, weren't they?
絶賛してたよね。ちょっと待ってよ。おやおや？
Honestly, I could not be bothered to play this game to full completion. The narrator is obnoxious and unfunny, with his humor and dialogue proving to be more irritating than entertaining. Unfunny! I'm not trying to be funny. I'm trying to make a serious work of art. I suppose I could write up a handful of gags to insert into the Stanley Parable, but the game is already such a densely layered web of profound philosophical insights that I can't even imagine where I'd have the room to stick them.
低評価。これ進むだけかな。なんかあったりするかな。低評価。本当にあるやつだろうか。お、グッドあるじゃん、グッド。高評価もありますよ。
Okay, let's see what this one says.
見てみよう。
While the idea for the game is good, for someone who prefers non-linear games, this preachiness gets annoying fast. Preachy? Stanley? I'm not preachy, am I? You can tell me if I'm preachy. Honestly, you can. Oh, goodness. This is actually quite shocking for me. I always, well, to be honest, I had always thought of the game's dialogue as being rather terse to begin with. You can't know how much fluff I cut from the game to get it to feel as light and airy as it... Well, I always thought it did. But maybe it wasn't. Oh dear. What an awful memory to have to hold on to. These black marks on my otherwise unimpeachable track record. I feel like a failure. Like I let these people down. Perhaps the Stanley Parable isn't quite as sterling as I always remembered.
そんなことない。そんなことないぞ。きっといい評価もあるはずだ。そうだよな。あれあれそうだよな。
What's this one got to say? You constantly have to stop doing anything so the narrator can catch up with his long-winded explanations of what's happening. I wish there was a skip button. A skip button?
スキップボタン。
Well, yes. Yes, I think we can do that. If I'm truly too preachy, then maybe letting you skip ahead for just a moment, surely it couldn't hurt. Not if it means we can strike these negative reviews from the record. Only positive reviews of the Stanley Parable. That's my motto today, and it's always been my motto. I'd do anything for the customer, Stanley. Yes, a skip button we shall have.
スキップボタンを導入なんかあるな。なんかあるな。
And here it is. Go ahead and give it a shot. I'll... You're back, you see. You were only frozen in time for a few minutes, but it was plenty of time for me to deliver a long, rambling monologue full of unnecessary verbal flourishes and lengthy ruminations on the nature of choice in video games. Of course, I happen to believe it was perhaps one of my more profound such ruminations. Not that, of course, you need a description of it, but if I had to describe it, I'd say it was... Well there, sport. You really did catch me rambling on a bit, didn't you? But that's the power of the button. The minute I start to go off on a thoughtless display of self-absorption, it's right at your fingertips to go poof, and it's all over. Oh, I can't wait to see what Cookie9 will say about this, and whether they'll edit the rating of their Steam review, or at least change some of the wording, perhaps. To be honest, I don't even know if one can change their review in the first place. I guess I should become better educated on exactly how Steam works.
面白くて飛ばせないんだよな。
That would have been the smart thing to check on before I went about this whole exercise of making the skip button. Although I have to imagine that after seeing this exciting new technology at work, surely whoever it is runs Steam will instantly run out and implement a new feature to make it possible to edit one's review, merely because of this very situation. Yes, I think that's quite... Okay, welcome back, Stanley. Now, I should say that the amount of time the button has been skipping through is becoming longer and longer. That last one was, well, I want to say maybe 30, 45 minutes? It's not unendurable by any means, but it's, well, there's really only so much I can ramble on to myself about. I know, it's shocking, isn't it? But at any rate, I do suggest that we not press the button again. I think the skip button has been aptly demonstrated, and we can say goodbye to it and just... Wait. How do we get out of here? Where did the door go? Wasn't there a door that led into this room? I do feel quite certain that there was one here before. How else would we have gotten into the room in the first place? I don't think one can enter a room without a door of some sort, or a window or something like that. Do you see a window anywhere? A porthole? A sufficiently large crack in the wall? I'll take any of these. All I want is for... Stanley! Stanley, please don't push the button again. It's been 12 hours. You've just been frozen there. I don't know why the skips are getting longer, but they're really, truly getting longer. And my God, there's no way out of the room. Stanley, the door is gone. It's completely gone. I've looked at it from every angle. I've checked every one of those walls 1,000 times. And there's no door, Stanley. Oh, Stanley, you're back. You're back. Oh, my goodness. I have someone to talk to again. Stanley, I think it's been a week. Or 2 weeks. I've been sitting here all that time. Just sitting here. Not a single person to speak with. And you'd think that that's just how it's always been, right? Me talking and you saying nothing. Would you think that it's exactly the same as always? Doesn't that feel like what we've already been doing? Me just talking? But it isn't, Stanley. It isn't the same at all. It isn't even close. Because I know you can't hear me once you put... Oh, hello. It's you. You're here again. Welcome. I have had time to think about you and about us and about everything we've been through. I've had so much time, I stopped keeping track after a year. Have you ever sat down in one place and not moved for one entire year? Let me describe it for you. To begin with, there is only regret. There is only the turning wheel of missed opportunities. I felt nothing at all but regret for the longest time, Stanley. Days. Months. I lost it all in a blur of the deepest longing to undo the past. And when that feeling had begun to subside, what took its place is what I can only describe as the collapse of every...
来たよ。あれ？あ。あれ？あれ喋んないじゃん。いつもみたいに喋ってよ。ちょっとナレーションさん、あれあれ喋って喋って。これ待ってたらなんかある？ん？何の PP？ 今更だけど音どう？今更すぎるけど音量大丈夫
？But they didn't understand the game was never meant to be funny. It was meant to have a point. It was meant to speak to the human condition. But where are the jokes? Where are the jokes? They bemoaned, they screamed, they gnashed their teeth and said, entertain us. It wasn't enough. They had to leave a pathetic little thumbs down review and make all of their pitiful demands. But then, he's talking too much, they said. First, he didn't entertain us, now he won't shut up. It's the inconsistency, it's the lack of accountability. It's the unwillingness to examine with an uncompromising heart the words that they are speaking into the...
黙っちゃった。黙っちゃったよ。黙っちゃった。なんか水の音するけど。
The end is never the end, 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 is never the end,
壊れちゃった。壊れちゃった。ずっと一緒かこれ。病んじゃった。あら、何ここ。どうなってんの？壊れてる。壊れちゃった。何年経ったんだろうね。あえ、緑が。なんかいけそうだけどいけないかも。ん？また あれ、なんだこの雰囲気は。あれ、さっきの緑はどこ行った？これいけないよね。あれ、開いてる。これはそもそも何だったんだ？なんだこの、あれ、いつも通りオフィスで仕事してたはずなのに、どうしてこんなことに？どこに行ったらいいんだろう。進んでいる？ん？戻ってきた？
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
画面壊れてる。一応変わってはいるな。あ、ニューコンテンツ入って欲しそうだな。
Oh, good. You noticed my sign. Yes, I have something very exciting to show you.
なんか変わるのか？本当に変わるんだな。新コンテンツ。またこっち？一緒じゃない？さっきと。
You see, Stanley, I've been reflecting on the Stanley Parable and about how roundly disappointing this ultra deluxe version has turned out to be. The original Stanley Parable was a landmark, and any new content for it should live up to that legacy. So forget this ultra deluxe nonsense. I say we take it one step even further. Which is why I'm very proud to announce for the first time ever the Stanley Parable 2.
2? Oh. 2だ。
Yes, you see, isn't this far superior to a measly re-release with a few minor additions? Think of all the new territory we'll cover with a fully fledged sequel. An entirely new experience, built from the ground up. Why, there are so many possibilities. It could go in so many different directions. This is what fans have truly been asking for.
確かにね。電話は古いけど、でもパソコンは新しくなってる。Mac か？今ショーケース。
Calling it the Stanley Parable 2 is just so much catchier than Ultra Deluxe, don't you think? Ultra Deluxe? What does it even mean? But the Stanley Parable 2, now that's an artistic statement right there. It's future-oriented. It screams progress and innovation and long-term franchising potential.
おしゃれなオフィス。 カラス閉まっちゃった。2ね。2のなんて書いてるのかわからんが、あ、いいじゃん。まあロゴだよね。ロゴを考えてんだ。ああ。あ、これもいいな。これ2ってことね。なるほどね。あ、シンプル。ちょっとおしゃれすぎるな。まあこれが一番いいかな。一番なんか分かりやすくて整っている。いいね。なんか白と赤がねえ、なんかメイキングみたいでいいね。あ、ちょっとおしゃれすぎるの二人いるけど。
Now, to be clear, I haven't quite nailed down what exactly the Stanley Parable 2 is going to be, but let's take a look at some of the features I've been developing for it. I figure that if I can loosely organize a handful of interesting concepts, that surely the game will sort of naturally spring up around them. It'll all work itself out. Game development is much more of a fuzzy magic than anything scientific or logical, really.
This way to the show floor. New feature. New future. New contents. 何？エキスポホール。おー、いいね。
Here we are. Go on, try out some of the new features.
バケツ。なにこれ。これ読み取れたりすんの？これちょっと誰か読み取れる？これ実際読み取れるんだろうか。このロゴプリントされた T シャツ欲しい。あっちの2のやつとさ、これとかどうなの？これこの脳のやつ結構好きだけどな。ニューコンテンツ。誰だあれ。あ、リンク開けた。本当にいけるんだ。リンクあるんだ。安心。ザ・スターニー・パラブル安心のバケツ。バケツなんかあったな、そんなの。オフィスデコレーション。無限の穴。何にいけんの？ 2 のサイト出てきた。へえ。このゲームをプレイしている人の名前を言うボタン。ジャンプサークル。無限の穴。ちょっとどこ行こう。でワクワクするねこれね。ノースクリーンショット。プリーズノースクリーンショット。スクショ撮っちゃダメなんですか？なんとスクショ撮ったらダメなの？スクショってどうやって撮るのこれ。スクショボタン。だから押せないや。プリントスクリーンボタンね、あれなの。効かないようになってんだよ、なんか。なんか撮ったらなんかあんのかな。Enjoy the new future。 Here your name in the game。これがなんか開発者の名前を
For the Stanley Parable 2, I asked myself, what do players really want? And of course, the first and most obvious answer is that they want to be individually recognized and validated as people. So with that in mind, my first addition to the game is this button which speaks the name of the person playing the game. Isn't that wonderful?
プレイしてる人の名前 Road to the Perfect ボタン Just Right。 何これ押せるわけじゃないんだ。あ、F12？ あ、ほんとだ。F12 で取れた。さっきの部屋でも戻れそうだよな。なんで ?The button that says the name of the player that is playing the game. Try it here. 何これ大丈夫？大丈夫これ。大丈夫なやつ大丈夫なやつ何ネームって。
Sorry, I should have clarified. Right now, the button only says the name Jim. But of course, in the final game, this button will say your name, whatever name that is. Here, let's have you role-play as Jim to really simulate the full experience of this feature. Just play along. I promise you'll love it. Okay, here we go. Let's take a deep breath, clear your mind, forget whoever you are, and simply become a person named Jim. I want you to imagine yourself living as Jim, sleeping and waking as Jim, falling in love and being heartbroken as Jim, seizing all of the world's possibilities as Jim, and as Jim watching your dreams crumble into dust. Do you feel it deeply? Are you really, truly Jim right now? If so, then please step forward and press the button.
私はジム。真のジム。
Yes! You see! What a thrill! What a rush! That was you! The button described you. Do it again. Do it again. Jim. Ooh, it hits even harder the second time. If this were the only new feature in the Stanley Parable 2, it would still be worth the money. Let's take a break from the Jim button. I'm too emotionally drained from all of this personal validation. Jim. Whoa there, cowboy. Sometimes a person can be too much Jim. I'm putting the Jim button away. Otherwise, soon you'll start to lose all sense of who you actually are. Jim.
ジムボタンどっか行っちゃったんだけどそんなようやくね自分はジムなのではないかと思ってきたとこだったのにジムボタンが遠ざけられてしまったんだけど。
I suppose I could allow only people named Jim to play the Stanley Parable 2. That would actually save me the work of finishing this feature.
It's なんもなんないな。ジムボタンが。あれなんかあいつ後ろ向いてないか。いや回っている。ここ行くか。
Okay, I'll be honest, I haven't yet decided on this one. I think that in the new version, the office could use a bit of decoration, like balloons. But I'm undecided on Get Well Someday and Happy 12th Birthday. Which would you go with?
どっちがいいですか？ Get Well Someday ハッピー12年バースデーステップニャースこっちかな。
You know, sometimes when you solicit another person's opinion, it makes you realize that you knew which one you actually really wanted all along.
Oh?
Happy 12th
なんで
birthday,
だよ。
step niece, it is. Or actually,
なんでだよ。
maybe I should have gone with... No, I've made my decision. We're moving on.
そっちじゃない方がいいって言っただろう。くそ バケツの部屋行くか。なんだろうな、これは。これなんか戻ってこれないかもしんないな。後にして。あ、ジャンプサークルだ。
You know what? Let's bring the jump circle back for Stanley Parable 2 as well. It's a... Oh, wait. You already spent all your jumps the first time we saw the jump
使い切っ
circle.
ちゃった。
Oh, well. I suppose it can just be a nice decorative piece then.
あ、本当に飛べないんだけど。本当に飛べないじゃん。くそ。なるほどね。これジャンプ取っといたら多分ここでジャンプできたんだな。使っちゃったよ。おしゃれすぎない？それは。いいわ、ひや。今ここね。広いね。バケツ行こう、バケツ。
A common complaint of the Stanley Parable was that it was confusing and paradoxical, that it engendered a chaotic sense of reckless despair in those who played it. Well, I'm happy to say that after much consideration, I've engineered a clever solution to this fundamental problem with the game. It's the Stanley Parable Reassurance Bucket. You see, Stanley, anytime you're holding the bucket, a sense of calm and ease will fill your mind and your heart. It's true. As long as you hold on to the bucket, the many disorienting contradictions of the Stanley Parable will feel perfectly normal and perhaps even comforting. You may even come to long for the gentle embrace of jarring cognitive dissonance while the bucket is in your arms. And to be honest, it's a much more convenient solution for me than actually redesigning the game to be less uncomfortable. Can you imagine what a pain in the ass that would be? Yes, the bucket is the perfect solution. Come on, give it a try.
そう、何笑ってんねん。
The glow of comfort, even in the face of crushing despair, must already be sweeping through your body. And in fact, can I say that I do believe the bucket lends you an air of charisma as well? I think that just holding it has made you the slightest bit more attractive as a person. The benefits of the bucket seem to go on and on, don't they? All this and more await you in the Stanley Parable 2.
このバケツ持って歩けんの？持っていくらしい。
Does anyone give out awards for most enjoyable bucket in a video game? That really should be an award if it isn't already.
これもしかしてずっとバケツ？なんかあった気もするな、このバケツ。That's new って書いてる。フリーニューイージーアーチバンバンマ。行ってみるか。
Now here's something special. You remember that broken test achievement that got left in the game on accident? Well, I'm developing a technology to simply give you the achievement. Yes. You see, you'll come to this lever, and when you pull it, the achievement will be given to you. It's as simple as that. Okay, perhaps I should have clarified. This is technology that will exist. Right now, the achievement is still fully broken. I'm not a wizard, Stanley, but I guarantee it will be fixed in the sequel to at last satisfy the hordes of ravenous fans all over the world who have been uproariously demanding this feature. Gamers, we hear you, and I promise it will happen.
こ 壊れてやがる。長押しかと思ったけど違うんだ。なんやねん。実績解除させろ。ダメですか？ないか。あるかと思ったけどなかったな。本当に実績解除ないんだ。でも今んとこまだね1個しか実績解除してないぞ。
What else? What other exhibits haven't we seen yet?
これバケツ邪魔だな。Can you find them? Can you find them? お、なんだこれは。
Ah, collectibles. Now it's a real video game. In the Stanley Parable 2, you'll run around gathering up these miniature Stanley figurines. And what's truly innovative is that there will be no reward for collecting all of them. I don't want to stifle the intrinsic joy of watching a number go up. You simply collect all of them, and then you move the hell on with your unremarkable life.
進んでる？歩いてる？あ、ん？近づいてる気がする。お？え？なんだこれ。コンテンツ全オール。あ、コレクト全オール。全部拾いってこと？え？ん？いや、終わりか今んとこ。戻ってみたけど、あ、ここまでしか入れないし、横も行けないから終わりなんだ。
God, it really is the worst when you collect everything in a video game and then they give you a big fancy reward for it. Absolutely tragic.
一個だけ？あれスタンリーなの？本当のスタンリー？
Stanley, here's an idea that I'm truly fond of. It's never been done before in a video game.
Oh.
This is in fact a hole that you can fall down forever. That's
落ち続けることができる。
Infinite falling. You can fall until the end of time if you like. A stunning leap forward for video games as a medium.
なんだこの部屋は。
You see, isn't it
落ちてる落ちてる。
One of my more ingenious concoctions, if I do say so. Now then, since you've gotten
めち
to
ゃくちゃ落ち
see
て
the
る。
infinite hole, you can press the teleport button to pop back up to the top, and we can continue onward.
G を押すと地上へ戻ります。
Now, I don't mean to be a bummer, but I do recommend you use the teleport button to go back to the top. Maybe do it on the sooner rather than later spectrum of things.
無限に落ちるんだよね。大丈夫だよね。
Okay, Stanley, I don't know quite how to say this tactfully, but it's possible that I slightly exaggerated the infinite nature of the hole. Is it a very, very deep hole? To be certain it is. It's an extremely deep hole. I don't want anyone to say that it isn't an astonishingly deep hole. It is. Is it infinite?
無限なんだよ
Well,
ね。
that sort of depends on your definition of infinity. From one perspective, the infinite is merely philosophical in nature. It's more of a... Okay, well, good for you. You found the bottom of the hole. You found me out, Stanley. I'm a liar and a cheat, and you're so clever. Look, I think the issue here is just that you're unusually fascinated by falling. What normal person actually wants to fall infinitely? I figured the hole was as deep as anyone would actually need. Don't you put this on me. Maybe you're the problem. Look, things got a little heated there. I think we both said some things we didn't mean.
あれでも
Why
これ
don't we just put
ど
all
うしてんだ
this behind us and agree to just call the hole mostly infinite? If that works for you, then go ahead and press the teleport button to warp up to the top of the hole and we can move on. I'll just be up here when you're ready.
これなんかあるかな無限に落ちたけど無限過去有限なんもないかな。逆ギレされた死ぬのかと思ったけど死ななかったな。なんもないか。めちゃくちゃタバコ吸ってるけど。本当に何もなさそう。
Great. Now,
Oh.
I'm very excited to show you even more of my ideas for the sequel. Oh, for heaven. You see, I was right. The problem is you. The problem is that you like holes too much. Not normal. A normal person would have said, yep, that's an infinite hole right there. Goes on forever till the end of time. Don't need to see it all, but not you. Oh, no, 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 no. You have a weird sort of... Oh. Did the hole seem even shorter to you this time? I couldn't help but feel like you spent a little less time in there than you did before. I mean, admittedly, I didn't make an infinite hole, but I didn't think it was that not infinite. Well, I suppose once again there's nothing to do here. If you decide you've had enough of the hole, you can hit the teleport button and come join me up above. Had enough? I'm positively thrilled. I really do have so much more to show you and to talk about, and I've had enough of the hole for a lifetime. Gosh, how could I have guessed? You're back in the hole. If this starts to become a thing where... Wow, okay.
短いね今回。
Yes. I'm starting to become extremely certain that the hole is not only not infinite, but that it's growing steadily less and less infinite. I suspect that I'm starting to hit the point where it's no longer
全然無限じゃない。
feasible to call the hole infinitely deep, even by the lax overall standards for accountability and marketing. What's going on here? Stanley, I have no explanation for the uncertain nature of the hole's length. Here, let's try something. Let's pop back up to the top, and we'll see if it gets any shorter. Well, there it is. The shame of my lie has come to haunt me. Not only is the hole not infinite, but it's barely even a hole at this point. It's more of a concavity,
無限の
or
穴
even
と
a
は
very aggressive divot. How is this still appealing to you? I know you're obsessed with holes, but at this depth, I just can't see this scratching the itch. Oh, who am I to judge? You just do whatever it is you're here to do and hit the teleport button when you're ready to move on.
地上とはあれ
Is the, teleport button not working?
押したのに
You sure? Well, I mean, I really don't have an explanation. It was working just a moment ago. Try it again.
ダメだ
Still
戻れない
nothing? Well, I suppose there is one thing I can do to fix this. I'm out. Goodbye, Stanley. You couldn't bear to be away from the hole, and now you'll get more time with it than you could ever have asked for. It's a win for everyone. You get to be with the hole, I get to do literally anything else. Take care, Stanley. I hope you and the hole have a wonderful rest of eternity.
あどっか行っちゃったどっか行っちゃったよ戻れないし帰れないし 助けてくれ。そんな。あ、おい、どんどん下に落ちていくんだけど。そんな。下がっていくけど。あ、一体どこに連れてかれちゃうんだ。そんな。視点を変える？何視点を変えるって。何これ、視点を変えるって。何これ。何この映像。認識を変える？認識を変える？現実を変える？あなた自身を変える？どういうこと？どういうこと？
Stanley! Oh, good, you're awake. It seems you had sort of dozed off there, drifting away into dreamland. But we can't have that, Stanley, because this hole is just so darn fascinating that I want you to be wide awake for every second of it. You don't want to miss a single moment. So how about if I just pop in from time to time and wake you up to keep you really, truly focused on the hole? From the looks of things, you and I will have many, many years here in this hole, and I'm looking forward to all of them. Stay alert, Stanley. I'll be back. Toodlepip.
また来るからじゃあねじゃなくて、これまた動いちゃうんじゃ。帰ってきた。
Here we are. Go on. Try out some of the new features.
バケツ持ったままだけど。戻せないんだ。すごいゲームだな、ほんと。あと言ってないのが全部言ったかな。全部言ってて、あともう出るだけか。ジャンプ、ディスマップ、フリーアチーブメント、ジムボタン、永久ってどれ？コレクティブレス、エピローグ、エピローグ、そこか。 全部いったかな。バケツ呪われてんな。出口、ジャンプサークル、コレクターズアイテム。じゃあ出口行くか。ジャンプサークル、ん？あ、こっちか。出口。
All right. Have you seen everything you wanted to? Ready to move on now?
多分見たよな。見たはず。
So, Stanley, what do you think? Do you like all of the new features? Yes, I know it's not exactly clear yet how exactly these features will come together as one single coherent video game, but I can feel it in my soul. It's going to work. There's definitely a good game in there somewhere. Say, let's do an experiment. I'll arrange these new features together, and we'll see whether or not it coheres into a meaningful gameplay experience. Okay. Are you ready? Here it is. I give you the Stanley Parable 2. Well, I mean, there's potential here, right? It's sort of... Okay, never mind. Hold on. Let me do a different arrangement. Okay, yes, this is much better.
Here
we go. Version 2. Who am I kidding, Stanley? This isn't a coherent video game at all. It's a lot of gags. And I do very much enjoy creating gags, but they don't add up to anything. I wanted more than anything to create a sequel that would capture all the magic of the first game. I wanted fans to love it. No matter how good these gags are, they won't stand on their own. They would need the structure and the gameplay of the original. Wait, maybe that's it. I can take the original Stanley Parable and simply, well, insert a few of my new features into it. Tastefully, of course. With respect. With care for the vision and integrity of the original game. Would it possibly work? I suppose it could. But it would need a really, really tremendous title screen. A title screen that says with bold and uncompromising conviction, "This is the Stanley Parable 2. Let me see if I can whip something up. All right, perfect. Go ahead. Take a look.
ゲーム始める2ができるのか。ちょっとこれもうちょっと見てみよう。なんか雰囲気ちょっと怖いね。ループしてる？いや、まだループしてないはず。バイオあ、バイオってこんな感じだったっけ？見たことのあるタイトル画面。ループしたかな？セッティングできねえ。始めるか。クレジット押せない。ゲーム始める。押せない。押せないじゃねえか。なんか倒れてない？さっきと違う？終了してデスクトップしか押せない？これもしかして。いや、これ待つタイプのやつか？いや、戻ってきた？いや、なんかぐにゃってなってるぞ。なんかおかしいぞ。 あ、押せた押せた。
This is the story of a man named Stanley. Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427.
もうちょっと待ってもよかった
Employee
か
number
な。
427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427
同じ。
and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day of every month of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-rending, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job. And Stanley was happy. And then one day, something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened. This complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office.
一緒だな。今んとこ一緒。
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean?
風船がある以外は
Stanley
一緒。
decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
バケツあ
Stanley
る。
picked up the bucket.
バケツあるけど風船割ったり取ったりはできないか。風船あるよ。あれ変わってない。
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
従うか。で、会議室ですよ。
Still no one was here. Stanley needed the bucket's warmth and comfort now more than ever. Perhaps his boss's office was where he'd find answers. Oh, Stanley, can you feel it? The broom closet. It wants the bucket. You can feel that, can't you? The aura of jealousy. It's as clear as day. This broom closet believes it deserves the bucket. I can really feel it now. It's a bucket. It belongs in a broom closet. That's what the broom closet is trying to say here. It's supposed to go with the other cleaning supplies. Good for you, Stanley. Don't give in. Don't hand over the bucket. I know how hard it must be, given the pressure that the broom closet is putting on your shoulders right now, but you have to be strong. This is your bucket. This is your companion and lifelong friend. You can't hand it over. Oh, no. We're getting into name-calling now, it seems. Is this how low the broom closet has sunk, that it has to resort to this stream of petty insults simply in order to get you to hand over the bucket? Stanley, I never liked this broom closet for a variety of reasons. Even this is worse than I had imagined. And wait, now the broom closet has the gall to imply that you and the bucket are not truly deep and lasting friends? That your relationship is purely superficial and convenient? That your life is so banal and meaningless that you'd feel the same sort of kinship towards any inanimate object which happened to lay in your path in an even partially enticing manner? Well, I never. Go on, Stanley. Lay into it. Really tell the broom closet off for its demeaning comments. Expand on the wide variety of experiences you and the bucket have shared together. Go through each of them point by point. Share your journal entries detailing the rich emotional landscape of your feelings for the bucket as they have changed and evolved over the years. Let him have it. Okay, I've got you something which I think will help settle this debate once and for all. Here we go. There. Now it's settled. No more debate, no more discussion. Take a hike, broom closet, with all your meandering philosophical diatribes about the nature of cleaning supplies and their relationship to broom closets in the natural order of things.
物置は終わったかな?
All right, I've got a second sticker back here, and I'm going to slap it on as well because I think it's appropriate. See, I feel that it works because the sticker is also a bucket. That way, if you're ever unsure whether the thing you're holding is a bucket or not, you can look down at this sticker and say to yourself, ah, it's a bucket. There really is a wide variety of applications for this sticker.
進めねえ。まだなんか言われんの?
You know what? I could take the name calling and the dismissal of your kinship with the bucket, but now the broom closet is just giving us the silent treatment. And to be honest, I'm sick of the pettiness on display. You can stay here all you like, but I've had it with this impetulant room of cleaning supplies. Easily the most childish such room I've ever been in. I'll see you outside, and we can get on with the story about you and your bucket.
何を言ってんだこいつは。終わったかな?
Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
スタンリーとバケツはエクスキューバスルーム。お
You found one of them. One of the miniature Stanley figurines. Remember, no reward for collecting all of these, only the intrinsic pleasure of a job well done. You can't buy that sort of happiness, Stanley. God knows I've tried. So, I implore you to savor each and every moment you come across one of these beautiful figurines.
まさかあるとは。いや、他のとこにもあったんだろうな。
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Crushed by the weight of this revelation, Stanley may have broken down into an emotional dumpster fire if not for the soothing presence of the bucket. Even now, in his darkest of hours, did the bucket's warmth and guiding light pierce the dark clouds of confusion and chaos. It would be with him always. The bucket would, and he knew it. The two of them were inseparable. At this point, Stanley was so absorbed in the tender spiritual connection he shared with the bucket that he didn't notice the keypad behind the boss's desk. Nor in his bliss of simply being near the bucket did he have any notion that the PIN number for the keypad was 2845. But Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it that the bucket knew all along? Was the bucket guiding him? Yes, this is certainly the most logical explanation.
しばらく待ってもよかったかもな。お。
Another miniature Stanley figurine. This, you know, there really must be a snappier name for these things. What about mini stands? Stanley figs? Or what about Stanlerines? Yes, I think I like that. Another Stanlerine under your belt.
Stanlerine. これあと3つあんの? シュッシュ予算な。
The elevator raced downward, plummeting towards an unknown fate. It would be all Stanley could do to keep himself together, if not for the bucket. Soothing him, comforting him, reassuring that in this darkest moment of uncertainty, he would be all right. The bucket is here for you, Stanley. Everything will be fine. Stanley and the bucket walked straight ahead through the large door that read, Mind Control Facility.
エスケープ行ってみるか。
Although this passageway had the word escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley and the bucket would both meet a violent death.
何があるんだ。
The door behind them was not shut. Stanley and the bucket still had every opportunity to turn around and get back on track. At this point, Stanley and the bucket were knowingly walking forward into a very painful death for each of them.
な、あ、やばい、
As
進
the
んでる
machine
進んで
whirred
る。
into motion and Stanley and the bucket inched closer to their demise, Stanley reflected on how meaningless the bucket's warmth and comfort had turned out to be. To be sure, it puts the mind and the soul at ease to embrace the bucket. But what use is a sense of ease when you're about to be crushed to death? This is what Stanley thought to himself, and he sort of kicked himself for wasting so much time carrying a bucket everywhere. Farewell, Stanley.
やばい、これバケツを使って、あ、
Farewell, Stanley, cried the narrator, as Stanley and the bucket were led helplessly into the enormous metal jaws. In a single visceral instant, the bucket's life came to an end, as it was crushed violently to death.
誰？え？なんか助かった。
It was a shame, the death of such a magnificent bucket. It's true that all buckets are radiant in their own way, but this one stood above the rest. It was a glorious bucket to behold.
バケツ。大展示会へのご来場をお待ちしております。あなたは今知識の崖に立っています。人の精神はたびたびバケツのように空っぽになり、洞窟のような虚無感さえあります。しかしあなたの目の前にある展示物を使うことで、心は豊かに満たされ、具体化されます。このバケツの知識とその歴史は、私たちが持つ唯一の真実の知識なんです。ここであなたが学んだことを世界に持ち出すつもりですか？この展示の情報について課題があるかもしれませんが、心を開いてくれますか？あなたの生活やあなたの大切な人をこの展示をきっかけに変えられますか？もしくはあなたは目を背け、無知と暗闇の中で今までと同じように生きますか？バケツとは何だったんだ
？Can you see how arrogant it was for Stanley to take a bucket like this and to claim it for his own? Can you see the hubris that blinded him? Can you see that the bucket is far more noble than Stanley will ever be in his short life?
バケツが上がって、あ、バケツ ?25 個のバケツ。この写真は史上最多である25個のバケツをカメラに収めたのです。この写真家は一度にこれほどたくさんのバケツを目の当たりにするという幸福感から数週間にわたり緊張性ショックを患いました。25個？本当に25個 ?25 個どころじゃないよね。もうこの画面だけで25はあるでしょ。バケツ2つの取っ手付きバケツ。このバケツは取っ手が2つ描かれています。 このようなデザインは今まで現実には一度も前例がなく、危険すぎる無謀な実験とされています。毎年それを試みただけで十数人が処刑されていますバケツやべえな。バケツやべえぜ。地獄バケツ。地獄バケツのレプリカ。中世紀、この強力な魅力を持つバケツの支配をめぐり、数十カ国が戦争を引き起こしました。10億人もが命を落としたにもかかわらず、誰もバケツを支配できないという事実だけが残されています。バケツ怖え。バケツやべえ。バケツ怖すぎるんだけど。ストレスバケツ。解説なし。なんて？ザ・ストレスバケツ。アナロジー。何？どういうこと？水を入れたらここから出てくるってこと？なんて書いてんだろうな。レスト&リラクゼーション doing something you enjoy レスト&リラクゼーション。わからん。解説なし。ここに来て解説なし。ストレスバケツ。このあちこちにさ、この椅子あんのなんだろう。あ、入り口に比べて出口が狭いってこと？考えな感じろってこと？もうなんだこの BGM。 バケツ。ホラー穴の絵。バケツが人類誕生より前にすでに実在していたことは知られているものの、いつ頃から存在していたのかは知られていません。この洞窟の絵は古代人によりバケツの実用的な使い方の発見について描かれたもので、この時すでにバケツは数千年前から存在していたようです。この絵の注目すべき点は、バケツ自身が使うことを許可し、人類がその宝を使うのにふさわしいと判断されたという点と言えますお、バグ見つけたぞ。脱字見つけたぞバケツが先、人間が後ね。すごい BGM が
No man can own a bucket, and certainly not a bucket as dazzling to behold as this one. It is man who should kneel before the bucket.
誰なんだこのナレーションは。ぶら下げられたバケツ。この作品は人間とバケツとの必要な関係性を象徴しています。どれほどバケツが我々の手中にあろうとも、まだまだ把握しきれていない部分がたくさんあるのです。この距離は私たち自身のために必然的にあるのです。これバケツ、これ罠じゃないかあ、いや、いける？バケツ
But there is something we can do. Something we can do together, you and I, that will right this terrible wrong. Let Stanley die. Let him be crushed by the machine. Don't reset the game. Don't give him another opportunity to run off with
助けて、
another
バケツ。
beautiful bucket. We can save the world's buckets from their treatment as tools and
助けて。
implements if only we let Stanley die together. The bucket shall take its place as ruler, as leader, as commander of a new world, a new vision.
助けて、バケツ。あ、死んだあ、死んだんん俺のバケツだ。持ってく？持ってかないこともできそうだけど、持ってくか。
Stanley lifted the bucket into his arms, and a wave of comfort rushed over him.
あー、持ってかなければよかった。
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? Was this better than the meeting room? Yes, Stanley thought to himself. Yes, perhaps it truly was. How insightful the bucket turned out to be. No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
さっきそっち行ったんだよな。
And so the two of them detoured through the maintenance section and walked straight ahead to the opposite door.
行くよね。どこに行くんだこれ。
Oh, good Stanley. I'm glad you found your way here. I knew you'd find this place eventually. You see, your friends and I are concerned for you, Stanley. We've come together here because we care about you very much.
どういうこと？
It's this bucket you're carrying around everywhere. The bucket isn't even from the original Stanley Parable. It's just sequel content. We're the ones that matter, Stanley. Classic characters from the first game, like the Adventure Line and the Broom Closet. Because that's what fans want from a sequel. They want more of their favorite jokes, not this bucket that they've never seen before. Yes, I know I'm the one who gave you the bucket, but you're spending too much time with it. Don't you want another story involving the Adventure Line? We could make the Adventure Line go somewhere new. Yes, yes, that's what the fans want. Let's do it.
これは誰？どうなった？これは？このお姉さんは？物置じゃねえか物置じゃねえかよ。こっち行くかソファに草生えてるけど。 We care about you, Stanley. 赤ちゃん見てない。
Whee! Look at that wacky line. Who knows where it'll go off to next? Oh, and it played some silly music as well.
ていうかね、こっち行ってない、こういうの。
Now this is what the Stanley Parable is all about. Don't you remember all those great jokes from the original dialogue?
Also, Stanley is addicted to drugs and hookers.
Yes, it's as classic now as it was back then. Let's do it for the fans, Stanley. Let's give them more content exactly like this.
これ何？
But if we want to do that, you're going to have to give something up.
この道に従っていくか。
Don't you get it, Stanley? We need to get rid of the bucket. That's why I'm very proud to introduce a brand new character. This is the Bucket Destroyer.
バケツデストロイ
I
ヤー。
think it'll make a wonderful new addition to the rich lore of the Stanley Parable. True, it also was not in the original game, but it's such a well-fleshed-out character with so much personality that to me it already feels as though it's been part of the cast all along. Don't you agree?
バケツデストロイヤ
Can you guess what the Bucket Destroyer does?
ー。わ
Surely
あ、
you don't
動い
need
て
me
る
to。spell it out for you. Go ahead now,
ああ、
Stanley.
なるほどね。
Say goodbye to the bucket, and then pop it into the machine when you're ready.
この辺で試したいけど。
Now listen to me. It's crucial that you give it the bucket. I don't know what the Bucket Destroyer will do if it can't destroy your bucket. Destroying buckets is all it knows. That is its singular personality trait. Sure, I can hear you saying, how does a character with only one personality trait deserve to join the pantheon of beloved Stanley Parable characters? Well, you see, if you were to really explore the Bucket Destroyer, you would see that its desire to crush buckets is so densely loaded with complexity and nuance that it's really like 10 personality traits. What other object in this game can you even say that about? The broom closet? Certainly not. I wonder what sort of Bucket Destroyer merchandise the fans will be clamoring for after this. Okay, the Bucket Destroyer is getting very upset now. You'll have to hurry and feed it. We can't get back to the classic Stanley Parable characters like the Adventure Line or the Bucket Destroyer until you crush that damn bucket. Quickly now, the fans are waiting. Do it, the fans, Stanley. Give the fans what they want. Hurry and...
何何何
The Bucket Destroyer. My prized creation. You had so much potential. We were going to do such marvelous things with you, tell such spellbinding stories about you. All of it squandered now. Goodbye, new friend.
Goodbye, そんな。
For the moment in time that you were here, you were magnificent.
バケツデストロイヤー、おしまい？新コンテンツ。あれ？これ最初に戻ってきた？戻ってきた
How wonderful. Stanley was alone. Finally.
一人ぼっ
This
ちだ。
is great, he thought to himself. This is what I've wanted all along. I got what I wanted.
話変わってきたな。
No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
これバケツ持ってく？デストロイしてみたさもあるけど、バケツの誘惑。どう思う？バケツ持ってく？どうしようかな。バケツ、持ってっか。デストロイするか。
The confusion and the chaos all seemed to melt away as Stanley embraced the bucket.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest, and this was not the correct way to the meeting room.
さっき
But
のとこ
Stanley
行こう
had
ぜ。
felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be.
And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? Well, no, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back, and so the two of them detoured through the maintenance section and walked straight ahead to the opposite door.
あるけどデストロイしてやるぜ。
Oh, good Stanley. I'm glad you found your way here. I knew you'd find this place eventually.
今んとこ一緒
You
だ。
see, your friends and I are concerned for you, Stanley. We've come together here because we care about you very much. It's this bucket you're carrying around everywhere. The bucket isn't even from the original Stanley Parable. It's just sequel content. We're the ones that matter, Stanley. Classic characters from the first game, like the Adventure Line and the Broom Closet. Because that's what fans want from a sequel. They want more of their favorite jokes, not this bucket that they've never seen before. Yes, I know I'm the one who gave you the bucket, but you're spending too much time with it. Don't you want another story involving the Adventure Line? We could make the Adventure Line go somewhere new. Yes, yes, that's what the fat...
車だったんだ。
Look at that wacky line. Who knows where it'll go off to next? Oh, and it played some silly music as
そうなる
well.
よね。出たよこの音楽。
Now this is what the Stanley Parable is all about. Don't you remember all those great jokes from the original dialogue?
Also, Stanley is addicted to drugs and hookers.
Yes, it's as classic now as it was back then. Let's do it for the fans, Stanley.
Sa-
Let's give them more content exactly like this. But if we want to do that, you're going to have to give something. Don't you get it, Stanley? We need to get rid of the
なん
bucket.
かいけそうなんだよね。
That's why I'm very proud to introduce a brand new character. This is the Bucket Destroyer.
さあ
I
早
think
く
it'll
バ
make
ケ
a
ツを
wonderful new
壊させ
addition
て
to
く
the
れよ。
rich lore of the Stanley Parable. True, it also was not in the original game, but it's such a
Destroy させてくれ。
well-fleshed out character with so much personality
スキップボタン
that to
ないん
me
か？
it already feels as though it's been part of the cast all along. Don't you agree?
来た来た来た。
Can you guess what the Bucket Destroyer does? Surely you don't need me to spell it out for you. Go ahead now, Stanley. Say goodbye to the bucket, and then pop it into the machine when you're ready.
待って。待って。バケツを離さねえこいつ。
Now listen to me. It's crucial that you give it the bucket. I don't know
Mate,
what the
buckets
bucket
are離せ
destroyer
ない
will
ぞ、こ
do
いつ。
if it can't destroy your bucket. Destroying
あ、待って、
buckets
あれ？
is all
もうい
it
けない。
knows. That
嘘よ。
is its singular personality trait. Sure, I can hear you saying, how does a character with only one
待って。
personality
あれ、
trait
バケツ。
deserve to join the pantheon of beloved Stanley Parable characters?
バ
Well,
ケ
you
ツを
see, if you
下
were
に
to really
バケツを
explore
投げ
the
るんだよ
bucket destroyer,
また同
you'd
じ
see
こ
that
と
its
してんじゃね
desire to crush buckets is so densely
じゃ、
loaded
バ
with
ケツを投げ
complexity
るん
and
だよ、お前。
nuance that it's really like 10 personality traits.
ダメなのか。
What other object in this game can you even say that about? The broom closet? Certainly not. I wonder what sort of bucket destroyer merchandise the fans will be clamoring for after this. Okay, the bucket destroyer is getting very upset now. You'll have to hurry and feed it. We can't get back to the classic Stanley Parable characters like the Adventure Line or the bucket destroyer until you crush that damn bucket. Quickly now, the fans are waiting. Do it, the fans, Stanley. Give the fans what they want. Hurry and...
これ絶対こうなるんだ。ダメなんだね。この続編は一時停止中です。
The bucket destroyer, my prized creation. You had so much
skip button
potential.
欲しいね。
We were going to do such marvelous things with you, tell such spellbinding
見た見た
stories
これ。
about you. All of it squandered now. Goodbye, new
じゃあさ、
friend.
デストロイヤー
For the
の
moment in time that
奥
you
の
were
方行ってみよ
here,
うぜ。
you were magnificent.
バケツデストロイヤーの先に爆発落ち。
Already this was uncomfortable, and Stanley decided that as soon as he found a new space he felt safe in, that he would never leave it again in his life.
Warmth spread through Stanley's arms. With the bucket in his arms again, he was home.
彼は家を帰ってきまし
Stanley
た。
clutched the bucket tightly to his chest. This was not the correct way to the meeting
家
room.
に
But
帰れ
Stanley
ん。
had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? No, never mind. The bucket
これ
was
セリ
wrong.
フいくつ用意さ
Stanley
れ
took
て
the
んだろ
door
う
on
ね。
his left to go back, and so the two of them detoured through the maintenance section and walked straight ahead to the opposite door.
あれ開いてなかった。How we can find them? ボタン NEXT What we know なんてアジェンダ We can do it. Thank you. Good luck. 何？高評価を設定。Trust the completion. 見つけろってとりあえず。これ場所じゃない？もしかして。あ、ラージルーム。ロッツ・オブ・ボックスズスターズ・サムシング・トゥ・ドゥ・ウィズ・スターズ。ん？どこそれって。サム・フェア・ボス・レッド&ブルー。ん？どこのこと言ってる？全然わかりませんが。はは。あれ？物置だよこれ。
Stanley, we must move on from this broom closet, simply because I have no remaining stick. Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's
こ
office.
っち側に行ってもここにたどり着くんだ。ここに来るんだね。
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life.
待ってみるか。
Crushed by the weight of this revelation, Stanley may have broken down into an emotional dumpster fire if not for the soothing presence of the
4
bucket.
2
Even now, in his darkest of hours, did the bucket's warmth and guiding light
Yo-
pierce the dark
yo-
clouds of
hachi.
confusion and chaos.
4
It would
8
be with him always. The
違う
bucket
な
would,
2
and he knew it.
2
The two of them
Hachi
were
4-5か。
inseparable. At this point, Stanley was so absorbed in the tender spiritual connection he shared with the bucket that he didn't notice the
バ
keypad
ケツ
behind the
の
boss's
ありなし
desk.
で変わるんだね。
Nor in his bliss of simply being near the bucket did he have any notion that the pin number for the keypad was 2845.
入力しないと入力しろって言われる。
Stanley just sat around twiddling his thumbs. Trying to input anything on the device was useless, since he could never possibly know that the combination was 2845.
2回教えてくれんだ。多分入力するまで
2845.
済むなやつかな。
Forgot, but it turns out that the panel's emergency override kicked in, and the door just opened all by itself. And Stanley got the hell along with the story. Well, whoop-de-doo.
適当にやればいけるようになってんだ。絶対いけるようになってんだなこれ。これいけるとこないよね。ここは一緒か？この解き方わかん
Stanley
ないん
and
だ
the
よな。
bucket walked straight ahead through the large door that read, Mind Control Facility. The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley and the bucket both wondered to themselves.
バケツを持って。
The monitors jumped to life, and Stanley nearly dropped the bucket in shock. Everyone in the office was being videotaped, monitored like guinea pigs. The bucket had never seen anything like this, and it very nearly burst into tears as Stanley cradled it gently, reassuring it that everything would be fine.
どんなお話だよそれ。ビコバケ。てーてー。
Was the bucket under the mind control facility's influence as well? Had the bucket been told to do things it didn't wish to do? What kinds of things does a bucket want to do or not want to do in the first place? These questions raced furiously in Stanley's feeble mind. No! He screamed into the bucket. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control, never! He squeezed the bucket tighter. His one friend in the entire world. At this point, he could trust no one except
バケツが
for
友
the
達ら
bucket.
しい。ん？
But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions, happy or sad or content. Walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he and the bucket would dismantle the controls for good. Two best friends, Stanley and the bucket, up against the world. They high-fived in a really cool way, and the bucket made a sassy comment about taking down the system.
これ一回クリアした気がするんだけどな。どうすんだったかな。
When at last they came to the source of the room's power, Stanley and the bucket knew it was their obligation to put an end to this horrible place and to everything it stood for.
オフにしました。
Stanley and the bucket waited in blackness. Was it over? Yes, they had done it. Stanley and the bucket had defeated their greatest and darkest enemy, freed themselves from the tyrannical grip of the evil mind control machine. Freedom was now mere moments away. Excitedly, the two of them began to discuss the kind of life they wanted to live once they stepped through this
バ
massive
ケツ持
door.
ってるよ。
The bucket wanted to learn to roller skate. Stanley wanted to sneeze in every country on Earth. Both of them wanted to begin watching a movie, any movie, but then stop it halfway through and begin watching it in reverse from the end. True, it was a simple life they envisioned, but it was one they'd lived together, with one another to lean on, to trust, to support. What? Wait. What was happening? Why had the door stopped? Was Stanley and the bucket not about to be freed? An unbearable silence filled the room, lingering in uncertainty, until finally the truth hit Stanley square in the face. This building did not want the bucket to leave.
Even the facility itself recognized the incredible calming presence of the bucket, needed the soothing warmth of the bucket, would go to any lengths not to part with the bucket. No. Stanley can't leave this place. Not while he has such a precious bucket in his arms. Not while this building has anything to say about it. Stanley realized he would never again leave this very room. But at least he has the bucket. To be trapped eternally in darkness isn't really so bad, Stanley thought to himself. As long as I have my bucket with me, right? I'll be okay, won't I? Stanley gulped. Very soon now, he was about to find out.
そういうエンド？バケツを持ってると出られ、あ、本当にそうなんだ。
Just a step through this door, Stanley thought to himself, that's all I need. If I can make it through this door, I can make it through them all.
本当にダメなんだ、バケツを持ってると。
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
今んとこでバケツなかったら普通に出れたはず。多分バケツ持っていったことはない。出れないんだね、バケツ持ってると。
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
じゃあこれ下のルートも違ったのかな。
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. What could it mean? Stanley was in such a rush to get through the story as quickly as possible, he didn't even have a single minute to just let the narrator talk. That kind of anxiety isn't healthy, so he relaxed for a few moments with some calming New Age music.
落ち着いたニューエイジミュージック。こっちの方が時間かかるやつじゃねえか。
Feeling soothed and rejuvenated, Stanley calmly walked forward into the opened passageway.
これ RTA だったらむしろこのナレーションが話し始めるのを待ちますとか言われそう。すごいな。
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
バケツ持ってない状態でこっち行ったらどう
Although
なん
this
だ。
passageway had the word escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley would meet his violent
普
death.
通に潰されて終わるかな。
The door behind him was not shut. Stanley still had every opportunity to turn around and get back on track. At this point, Stanley was making a conscious, concerted effort to walk forward and willingly confront his death.
なんか場所があったのは覚えてるけど。そうそう、こっちだとなんかね、バケツ展示室があったんだっけ。
As the machine whirred into motion and Stanley was inched closer and closer to his demise, he reflected that his life had been of no consequence whatsoever. Stanley can't see the bigger picture. He doesn't know the real story, trapped forever in his narrow vision of what this world is. Perhaps his death was of no great loss, like plucking the eyeballs from a blind man. And so he resigned and willingly accepted this violent end to his brief and shallow life. Farewell, Stanley.
Farewell, Stanley, cried the narrator, as Stanley was led helplessly into the enormous metal jaws. In a single visceral instant, Stanley was obliterated as the machine crushed every bone in his body, killing him instantly.
許された。
And yet it would be just a few minutes before Stanley would restart the game, back in his office, as alive as ever.
バ
What
ケツないけど
exactly
どう
did
な
the
る？
narrator think he was going to accomplish? When every path you can walk has been created for you long in advance, death becomes meaningless, making life the same. Do you see now? Do you see that Stanley was already dead from the moment he hit start?
変わった。もともとはこれだったんだろうな、多分。風景が。スタンリーのパソコン。レイアウト。この青写真では、ゲーム開発時のオフィスの様子が見られます。これはスタンリーのオフィスから2つのドアまでの経路で、このゲームで設計された最初の部分です。開発の間中、追加変更されましたが、核となるレイアウトは最初のものとほぼ同じです。あ、ここスタンリーのデスクで。はいはいはい。やっぱ行けるのはこんな感じなのね。廊下。この冒頭部分のテンポが重要で、この廊下を動かしたり変更したりして、プレイヤーがいいタイミングで2つのドアへたどり着くようにしています。飛ぶ棚？オフィスのパソコン。おい誰だこれ。これ何？ソリティア。これ何やってるの？ブラックジャック？ソリティア。この作品をベースにしたものです。クレジットそして火の打ちどころのないくらいのナレーター。この人がナレーションしてるのか？台本すごそうだな。台本の量やばそう。ボタンの音。このボタンを通してボタンを押した時に、このゲームを通してボタンを押した時に使われたサウンドセレクションです。各サウンドはシンセサイザーの音色とキーボードのストロークをミックスして作られています。なんだこれ。あっちも行けるけど、こっち先見てから行くか。広いな。オフィス。メンテナンスルームの初期バージョンです。待って、広いね。これ見てないです。これあれかな、なんかお金がどっかにあったりするのかな。それをコピー機で印刷するんでしょきっと。ラウンジの初期バージョンです。アパートメントタイマー。待って、やばい。びっくりした。前バージョンではアパートのエンディングへつながる選択肢で電話に出るまでの時間が15秒与えられていました。電話に出ないと違うエンディングになります。待って、見てない、そのエンディング見てないんですけど。貨物リフトの選択はそのまま残るか違う道へジャンプするかでした。しかしこの初期バージョンの後、プレイヤーが落ちて死ぬという選択肢も欲しいということになりました。貨物リフト。 2つ目のバージョンでは機能的には最終段階のものと同じですが、実際に貨物が保管されている場所のようにしたいと思いました。いや、そうね、ルートフラグのデバッグめんどそうバケツルートもあるしな。会議室、ワンオプション、ツーオプション、ワンオプション、弁当。あ、なるほどね。メンテナンスレイアウト。廊下から最初の2つのドアのところまでの流れはプレイヤーが何度もリプレイするものなので正しさが重要となりました。私たちはいくつものデザインを話し合いましたが、結局一番シンプルなものが採用されました。なるほどね。やっぱここつながってんのか。メンテナンスルーム。なるほどね。The game is now pause. エスケープメニュー。長いことエスケープメニューからプレイヤーがリスタートしたとき、エンドだけのエンディングを採用していました。残念ながらそのことに気づいているプレイヤーはごくわずかしかおらず、皆もどかしく思っていました。へえ。エスケープメニューってセンディングレバー。これらのレバーはもともとゼンディングの一部でした。プレイヤーはレバーを引き、ナレーターがどの色のレバーを引いたのか説明します。ゼンディングってへえ、ポーズ長いと見れるエンドとかあんのか。いや、これさ、あれだね。いろいろ遊んでから来るやつだねここ。ゼンディングモデル。ゼンディングは幾度となく繰り返されました。この部屋はエンディングの4番目のバージョンで完成したとされていましたが、発売直前にやめてもう一度変更しました。何ゼンディングって。モニタールームエレベーター。一時期モニタールームのエレベーターは上下に動き、上がフリーダム、下がカウントダウンとなっていました。プレイヤーが上が何で下が何であったか覚えるのが大変だということで、これをやめ2つのエンディングを一緒にしました。はあ覚えるのが大変だということで、カウントダウンルームの初期バージョン。カウントダウンデスク。あれ分かんなかったな。フリーダムエンド。こちらはベータ版にあったフリーダムエンドです。なんか確かさっきのオフって押した後、この外に出るエンドだった気がする。外に出て本当にこれが正しかったんでしょうかみたいな感じのエンドだった気がする。違ったかな。ゲームデザインモックアップ。このレベルデザイナーのウィリアムによって作られたレベルで、オーディションの一つのような形でライターのデビーに送ったものです。このレベルによるゲームデザイン全体を担当することになりました。状況は変わりました。このモックアップのベーシックレイアウトは今もゲームに残っています。この人がデザインを作ったってこと？ラウンジ。 あ、ここ戻ってきたか。ナレーターのメール。2回目の予告の後、ナレーターへの質問メールを募集しました。当初これを宣伝材料にしようと企画していたのですが、完璧な使い道を見つけられませんでした。ここにそのメールの一部を紹介します。いや、英語じゃねえか。英語じゃねえか。なんて？わからん。コングラチュレーション、コングラチュレーション、もうコングラチュレーション、コングラ。こっち行ったでしょ。お、スタンリーのオフィスの経年変化について左から右に2011年11月、2012年3月、2013年2月にそれぞれ作られました。これ最初？左から右に。最終的にこうなったと。あ、この部屋ちょっとなんかあれだね、無機質すぎない？デスクの位置おかしいでしょ。これ一人で使うには広くないか。こんなもん。こんなに机広く取っていいんですか？こっち多分見たとこだよね。あ、見てない。光線地帯。開発当初、私たちはスタンリーがエイリアンと戦場で戦うエンディングをデザインしました。このアクションゲームは知覚を持ち始め、ナレーターと戦うことになるんです。私たちは作り始めてすぐに、これはこのゲームのトーンに対し冗談が過ぎるということに気づきました。さらにシューティング好きな人たちをからかっていると解釈する人もいましたが、そういう意図ではありませんでした何それ、そんなエンディングを用意してたの？これ戻ってんな。こっち側行ってないか。時計、上司のオフィス、開発時の画面。シンプル。これが今だよね。シンプル。広いな、ここも。フリーダムエンド。これはゲームのアルファ版でのフリーダムエンドの最初の姿。あと見てるのにここだけか。ラウンジ、地下、初期バージョンの地下。お？ナレーションアウトテイク。ナレーターの声を担当したケビン・ブリッジングは2年間のゲーム開発中、おおよそ3回に分けてゲーム全体のセリフを録音しました。これらは最終的に使用されなかった初期のテイクからのクリップです。
Perfect example of poor level design. Textbook mistake. It's the kind of thing you'd pick up on intuitively if you had even the most fundamental understanding. But of course, you being you, you'll probably spend the next hour trying to solve it.
英語わかんないから何を言ってるかわからん。
Stanley pushed the orange lever. Then he pushed the number 8.
でも3回だけで取れるんだ。めちゃくちゃ量あるよな、絶対。
Oh, look at these two. how they wish to destroy one another, how they wish to control one another, how they both wish to be free. Can you see? Can you see how much they need one another? No, perhaps not. Sometimes these things cannot be seen. But listen to me. You can still save these two. You can stop the program before they both fail. Push escape and press quit. There's no other way to beat this game. As long as you move forward, you'll be walking someone else.
この画面で止まるってこと？
His path. Stop now and it'll be your only true choice. Whatever you do, choose it.
この画面で止まるってこと？っていうことなんだろうか。ここで待ってればなんか起きる？ここの画面？エスケープ？エスケープボタンってこれだよね。これの今なんて言った？エスケープを押して終了しろって言ってた？この画面でいいのか？さっきバケツ様をバケツ様を救うルートだった。戻ってきたけどさすがに長いか。これメニューを終了する。これか？ここで待ってればいいとかじゃなく、
Don't let time choose for you.
死ぬぞ死ぬぞこれ。もう一度始める。これ押してみるか。いや終了する？終了すると言ってたがどっちなんだ。これ押したら終わんのかな。こっちか。あ、
All of his co-workers were gone. What could
部屋
it
変わっ
mean?
たぞ。
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
どこだここバケツあるバケツあるんですけど、でもバケツを持ってないルート行ってみるか。ここ戻ってくるだけか。
Stanley went around touching every little thing in the office, but it didn't make a single difference, nor did it advance the story in any way.
なんかないんか。ね、すごいね、めちゃくちゃこれルートがあるな。変わんなそう。バケツ持ってっか。
Stanley picked up the bucket and smiled. He'd never be alone again, not truly alone, not with the bucket around. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
バケツ持ってあっち行ってない気が
This
する。
was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to
ここまっすぐ
be.
行ったとこ
And
行って
here
な
it
くないか。
was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? Well, no, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
No, said the bucket.
No.
Don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. The cargo lift, yes. Go there. Go to the cargo lift.
そうだ、さっきここで死んだんだった。
Good, said the bucket. Now ride the lift all the way to the top. There's something up there I need you to do.
あそこに。
Stanley did not question why or how this bucket was speaking to him. It should have alarmed him, of course, because buckets can't talk. But Stanley chose not to think about this obvious fact. He was firmly convinced that the bucket had spoken to him, and he unthinkingly did whatever the bucket asked.
でもあれどうやって取るんだろう。どっから行く
In
のかな。
here, said the bucket. Go into this dark room over here.
Stanley once again obeyed blindly.
これ？この部屋？暗い部屋に入ってっていた？あ、ここね。
Now pick up the phone, said the bucket. Pick up the phone, and it will take us back home, where we can go about life together.
出るか。ここは出とこ
This is the sad story of a man named Stanley and his bucket. Once upon a time, I gave Stanley a bucket because I thought he was lonely and could use a friend. And then, very distressingly, he began to believe the bucket could speak to him.
う。お家だわ。バケツだ。スタンリーのお家。シンク汚な。ハロースタンリー、僕だよ。君のバケツだよ。僕を君と戻すために J を押してJ を押すと帰れるのかな。すごいいい部屋じゃん。おしゃれ。
The Stanley Parable Reassurance Bucket was merely meant to provide the comforting glow of companionship. It doesn't literally talk and give you orders. Whatever Stanley is hearing the bucket say to him is just in his head.
戻ってきたけど、あれ、バケツがいる。僕を君の家に連れて帰るために V を押して帰れるんですか？
Lately, I've been concerned about him. Wouldn't you be concerned as well? To see him delusional like this, obsessing over an inanimate metal object? I want to say something to him, but I don't know how I can convince him. I don't know if he'll listen to me.
バケツどこ？あれ？バケツがないぞ。バケツがない。これ？違うな。あったあった。ありましたと。全然あった。本題へ戻るために Z を押して。
Well, I'll try anyway. Stanley, can you hear me? Listen to me. It's just a bucket. It can't think, it can't talk. All it will ever truly do for you is effectively transfer a liquid from one location to a different location. That's it. It doesn't do anything else.
いる。このうるさい男の言うことは聞くな。 しい。
You see, he's not listening. He's still taking orders from the bucket. You know, once upon a time it was me he took orders from. Me he trusted and listened to. Now all he cares about is his awful bucket. This stupid hunk of metal.
君の人生で僕以外全員を無視するために R をして。
It's sad, but I suppose he doesn't need me anymore. From now on, he's just going to cling to this bucket, this cold, empty bucket, this sort of shiny bucket. Well, I'll give it this. The bucket does have a nice shine to it.
乗ってるけど僕が実在するって信じてるんだよね、スタンリー。家へ帰るために O を押して。
Yes, I suppose on closer inspection that it doesn't quite look like your average hardware store bucket. It's just a little more, what am I trying to say? Sturdier, more capable of transporting liquid. Like it would be better at moving an amount of water from one room to another.
J を押すとこの同じ日を何度も何度も僕と繰り返せるよ。それもどうなんだ？
Oh my god, what am I saying? Better at carrying water from room to room. It's a bucket. It's literally just a bucket. Why do I feel some need to point out the ways in which it's so much more than just a regular bucket?
家へ仕事へ、家へ仕事へ、家へ帰るために H を押せ。
Oh no. I'm having feelings. For the bucket. No. What's going on? Why do I want to be with the bucket? Hear what the bucket has to say. Do anything it asks. What's wrong with me? I don't understand. Perhaps if I had the bucket, this would be less confusing. Yes. The bucket could tell me what to do in this troublesome situation.
大丈夫か？これ開いてるけど。ん
Stanley, give me the bucket. Give it to me. Give me the bucket, Stanley. I need it. Give it to me now. Give it or I'll...
目を閉じて。バケツ怖っ。戻ろう、スタンリー。戻ってきた？
Stanley knew the office layout like the back of his hand. It was only a matter of time before he found the others, wherever they were. Just a matter of time.
ただ帰ってきただけか？バケツとは。バケツなし。
When Stanley came to a set of two open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. The lounge was grand, majestic, perhaps, but eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left. Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
ここから行ける？消そうだ。怖えこれ。
Okay, I'm going back to the name of these little Stanley figurines, and now I'm torn between Stanlerines and Figlies. What do you think, Stanley? What name better encapsulates the intrinsic sense of happiness that you get from seeing a small number in the corner of your screen go up by one? Let me sit on it. I'm sure it will come to me.
落ちそう。
Stanley had now gotten himself so far off the beaten path
that it seemed the office had begun from so far off the beaten path that it seemed the office had begun from so far off the beaten path that it seemed the office had begun from so far off the beaten path that it seemed the office had begun from so far off the beaten path that it seemed the office had begun from so far off the beaten path that it seemed the office had begun from You didn't think I was actually just a recording, did you? What a silly and trite explanation that would be. All the back and forth between you and me, all the absurd adventures we've been through, and it all turns out I'm just a tape recording? It was all just in Stanley's head. I bet that's the kind of twist you think is revelatory. I bet each and every time you watch a movie where it turns out all to be in the main character's imagination, you must absolutely bolt off the couch in pure shock at the phenomenal and intricate storytelling. It must be so simple to be you. Life being an unending waterfall of surprises and delights. How much more exciting you must find the world than the rest of us do. Now I've become sad. Look what you've done to me. This is all your fault.
なんだこのエンドは。あ、戻ってきた。
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
あと見てないのが
The good old bucket.
古き良
Just
きバケツ。
Stanley and the bucket. Off on another thrilling adventure together. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his
会議
chest
室に
and
人形があ
entered
る
the door on his left.
会議室。ああ。Something to do with style これ何このスタイアーズって何どここれサムホヤーボスレッド&ブルー他のとかだけレッド&ブルーっていうのも分かんないけど階段スタイアーズってのが階段これか
Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
あった階段だ
You're getting close now, Stanley.
あったあった
You've nearly gotten all of the Figler and Marines. Very soon, you'll collect the last one. And then the first number will equal the second number, and that will be it. We'll be different people by then. Different in the sense that we used to have none of them. And now we have them all. You can't go back to when you had no Figler and Marines. None of us can.
やったー
But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss, admitting he had left his post during work hours. He might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished? His boss would think he was crazy. And then, something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. He looked down at the bucket in his arms. Am I
バケ
crazy?
ツ
He asked
バ
the
ケツがあるとまた
bucket.
違
The
った
bucket
りする
returned
か
his gaze, but said nothing at all. That's strange, Stanley thought. Usually the bucket is a source of guidance and wisdom for me in difficult times such as these. He held the bucket close, yet felt none of its familiar reassurance and comfort. And that's when Stanley realized,
バケツ何も言って
this
くれないの
isn't
か
my bucket. It's just a normal, everyday bucket. Someone else's bucket, perhaps. How did I end up with someone else's bucket? This is all terribly wrong. Surely no good would come from this.
Who knows what sorts of bizarre hallucinations Stanley might experience without the psychologically grounding presence of his bucket.
あれバケツなくなった。
Now he noticed that the rooms were repeating, which was, of course, very odd. And now he felt himself floating off the ground.
Huh?
Oh, gracious, he exclaimed. Without my bucket, I've gone truly mad. Where is it? I must find it. Far off in the distance now, he heard it, calling to him.
Stanley! Stanley, it's me, the bucket.
Could it truly be?
どこだ
He rushed forward from room to room, passing by one bucket after the next. None of them were
buckets.
his. None of them
Buckets.
were his special bucket.
Come to me, Stanley. Find me.
He had to find the bucket. He had to return
buckets
to his
are-
old friend. It was the only way to truly restore his sanity. And then suddenly, he froze dead in his tracks. He knew where the voice of the bucket had been coming from. The real bucket was inside of him all along. It was incredibly painful. Stanley doubled over in agony and blacked out. This is the story of a woman named Mariella. Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, picked up her bucket of comfort and security, and walked to her place of work.
バケツだ
But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town, talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. Right away, she knew what the problem was. This man had no bucket. Of course, he'd gone mad, ranting and raving about a narrator describing all of his
そっか、
actions
みんな
and how
バケツ持って
everything
る
is
んだ。
predetermined and free will is an illusion and it's all just a video game. It could all have been prevented if only he'd taken his bucket with him. Perhaps he didn't even realize he'd forgotten his bucket at home in the first place. How cruel the world can be, Mariella thought, and she hugged her own bucket even tighter. But of course, she had no time for this. There were a myriad of confusing problems she would soon have to confront at work, for which her bucket would provide absolute guidance and total clarity on everything. Heck yes, she thought to herself. My life kicks
私の人
ass.
生やべ
And
えよ
she backflipped all the way to work.
バク転で仕事場へ向かった。みんな大丈夫？バケツ持ってる？ちゃんと持ってます？ニコにも持ってるよ。当たり前だよな。帰ってきた。
Where are we going today? The bucket asked.
ノリノリだな。
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
全
This
部
was
見
not
た
the
んじゃない
correct way
か
to the meeting
そ
room,
ろそろ。
but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
No,
Said the bucket.
don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. The cargo lift, yes. Go there.
これも見た。
Good.
Said the bucket.
Now ride the lift all the way to the top. There's something up there I need you to do.
Stanley did not question why or how this bucket was speaking to him. It should have alarmed him, of course, because buckets can't talk. But Stanley chose not to think about this obvious fact. He was firmly convinced that the bucket had spoken to him, and he unthinkingly did whatever the bucket asked. No, stop. Look there on the wall. You see, there's a sign right there. It says, no buckets past this
バケツ
point.
禁止。
Stanley, how could you think it was okay to bring the bucket here? Unless, what if the problem is that you
本当だ。
actually don't know what is a bucket and what isn't a bucket? I suppose that would explain a lot about your behavior up to this point. Which, if that's true, well, my goodness, I think we have to do something about it. This misunderstanding could have dire consequences on the entire rest of the game if not addressed quickly and properly. So much of the impact of the story is dependent on your understanding of what is and isn't a bucket. Please, step in here for a moment.
バケツ置けないのこれ。 どまってください。あ、こっち行ける？行けるっぽい。Is
Now
this
then,
a
I'm going to
bucket?
run you through some test scenarios, and you'll tell me whether or not the thing I'm showing you is a bucket. Simple enough, right? This should tell us everything we'll ever need to know about what is or is not a bucket. Okay, let's begin.
何何？バケツ。
Item 1. Is this a bucket?
バケツですか？はい。
Incorrect. It is a hologram of a bucket, not an
バケツじゃ
actual
ないんだ。
bucket.
ホログラムか。
Item 2. Is this a bucket?
Yes。あ、違うんだ。
It is a 3D printed recreation of a bucket,
3D プリン
not
ト
an
か。
actual bucket.
次はどんなバケツ？
Item 3.
あ、これはバケツじゃないな。
Incorrect. This is a
こ
bucket.
れバケツかよ。バケツかよ、これは。
Item 4. Is this a bucket?
違うよね。あ、そうだよね。
This
トラ
is
ク
a
ターだよね。
tractor
う
and
ん、
not
こ
a
れはわか
bucket.
るよ。
To be
簡
honest,
単す
I
ぎる。
just sort of put this one in here as a gimme,
かけ
but
か
I was
と思ったよ。
starting to get concerned that even this might be too much for you. Thank you for not making me look like an idiot. Okay, next one.
引っ掛けかと思ったぜ。お？
Is this a bucket?
またか、お前。2回はちょっと面白くないぞ。
Incorrect. This is a bucket.
バケツだったか。バケツか。確かにバケツだ。いや、わかんなかったな、今の。バケツだった。
Is this a bucket?
もうどっちがどっちかわかんないぞ。
Trick
おお、
question.
引っ掛け問題。
Both.
両方
Gotcha.
どういうことバケツでありバケツじゃないってこと？
Item. Wait, hold on. I can't find the next one. Let me see. Should be around here somewhere.
次がない？え？
Okay, you and I both know there isn't anything here.
何
And I
もな
don't
かったけど。
appreciate the implication that nothing is a bucket when we both clearly know that a bucket is something, and therefore nothing could possibly be something. Unless, in your twisted mind, have you somehow convinced yourself that a bucket is nothing? Answer me straight, Stanley. Do you believe that nothing is a
バケ
bucket?
ツは無だと思ってるのですか？そう、バケツは無だ。
You know what? I'm too confused to even
バ
sort
ケ
it
ツ
out.
は無だ。
I've lost all sense of perspective. What is a bucket? What isn't a bucket? Mere moments ago I could answer these questions with confidence. And yet now I'm somewhat adrift. Do any of us know what a bucket is? Am I a bucket? Stanley, I can't keep doing this. I'm losing myself, and myself was all I ever had to begin with. I'm afraid the bucket is threatening to tear our relationship apart. I can't have that. I'm sorry. But I'm going to erase all buckets from the game entirely. Okay, here we go.
さあ行くぞ。
What happened? Is everything gone? Why did everything disappear? Wait, was everything a
全部
bucket?
バケツだったの
Every
か。
single thing in the game was a bucket. Oh my god, I had no idea. How could... Except me. I'm not a bucket after all. And you, Stanley, you're still here. You're not a bucket either. Oh, this is wonderful news. We're not buckets.
いや、
Yes, I actually feel much more at ease right now. It's delightful to get some clarity on that issue, but it doesn't change the fact that we haven't got a game. So, tell you what, I'll reset everything and we'll put back all of the buckets, okay? And we'll know that it's all a bucket. But if you run into anyone else, maybe don't mention that. Who knows what that information might do to a person? All right, here we go.
みんなバケツなんだよ。俺も、俺たちも、お前も。戻ってきた。うん、ビコリはバケツだよね。
A good bucket, a strong bucket, a humble bucket, a committed bucket.
取っちゃったよ、また。
Stanley clutched the bucket
あ、しか
tightly
も
to
今
his chest
聞け
and
ばよかっ
entered
た。
the door on his left.
ね、またバケツ取っちゃったんだけど。あと見てないバケツ。バケツじゃなくてもいい。今のルートバケツじゃないので試したかったな。ちょっとこのバ
Coming
ケ
to a
ツどうに
staircase,
か。
Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
これで戻る？はい、バケツを取らずに。
When Stanley came to a set of two open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. It was okay. But eager to get back to business,
この
Stanley
配
took the
信で
first open
一
door
生
on
分
his
のバ
left.
ケツ聞いてるね。
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
ここで。
Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. What?
危ね
I was in the middle of something. Do you have zero consideration for others? Are you that convinced that I want something bad to happen to you? Why, I don't know how to convince you of this, but I really do want to help you, to show you something beautiful. Look, let me prove it. Let me prove that I'm on your side. Give me a chance.
赤ちゃんのルートってどこなんだ？このさっきのここの先、バケツを置けばいけるってことだよね。バケツ禁止ゾーン。これ最初から書いてたのかな？
Now listen carefully, this is important. Stanley walked through the red door.
あった。
And there it is.
あった。
The last Stiggly Wiggly.
やったー。
Savor this moment, Stanley. This is a real accomplishment. This is doing something just for the sake of doing it. Where so many people expect to be rewarded for the most trivial achievements, you've insisted that a job well done is its own reward. I would tell you that I'm proud of you for collecting them all, but that would be like a reward, and we can't have that. So, instead I'll just say, it's done. We're all done here. And now we can go to whatever the hell you were doing before you hunted for figurines.
全部揃えたけど実績は実績解除とはなんないの？赤を通り抜けた。一回従うか。
Oh, thank God you are willing to listen to me. Do you see that I really have wanted you to be happy all this time? The problem is all these choices. The two of us always trying to get somewhere that isn't here. Running and running and running, just the way you're doing right now. Don't you see that it's killing us, Stanley? I wanted to stop. We would both be so much happier if we just stopped. And I think I have a solution. Here, let me show you. What do we want? What are we looking for? Here. Yes. Oh, it's beautiful, isn't it? If we just stay right here, right in this moment with this place, Stanley, I think I feel happy. I actually feel
happy. No, wait. Where are you going?
Happy?
Right. Where were we?
すごい。何ここ。なんかどんどん上がっていってる？変わってる？いや、変わってる？あ、変わった。待ってればなんか変わるやつこれ。色は変わっていってるけど、これ落ちたら死ぬのかな。進むか。ん？
Oh no. Stay away from those stairs. If you hurt yourself, if you die, the game will reset. We'll lose all of this.
登るよね。
Please, no, Stanley, let me stay here. Don't take this from me. Please, Stanley, think about what you're doing.
あ、そういうこと？なんもないよね。これそういうことだよね。
No! Oh, thank God. You lived. You had me worried there for a moment. Now, no.
死なないのか。
No, what are you doing, Stanley? Please, I'm asking you not to take this away from me. I can't go back to what I was before. If you die, we'll both go back. Why are you doing this? Stanley, let's go back to the other room. Can you do that for me?
死ねないの？不死身？
My God, is this really how much you dislike my game? That you'll throw yourself from this platform over and over to be rid of it? You are literally willing to kill yourself to keep me from being happy. Am I reading the situation correctly? Or maybe you're just getting a kick out of it. I don't know anymore. I just wanted us to get along. But I guess that was too much to ask. It looks like you wanted to make a choice after all.
どんどんゆっくりになってきた。足痛いのかなやっぱ。
Is it over? It's going to restart, isn't it? I'm going back.
Going back. 戻ってきた。
Stanley, I'm sorry, but I have to put a pause on things. It's just, it's those figurines, those figglers. I haven't stopped thinking about them since you nabbed every last one. Wasn't it just the most intrinsically fulfilling moment of your entire life? Didn't it fill you to the brim with inner richness? Yes, I know we're supposed to be telling a story, but won't you please indulge me with one more trip back to the memory zone?
What?
I would love nothing more than to revisit the figurines. Just one more time.
確かにね。確かに集めたからな。お？これ下？下でいいのかな？
Here's where it all began. The first collectible. Back then, we had no idea of how many of them we'd find. Sure, it said 6 right there on the screen, but how could we know for certain? We were so innocent. We'll never be like that again, Stanley.
あ、これだ。7。7。7個目？ん？
And here was a second Stanlerine. You found this one all on your own, just by poking around in the boss's bathroom. You did that, Stanley. I'll be honest. Back then I had no faith in you to find any of them, let alone 6. But you continue to surprise me in all sorts of mundane, unremarkable ways.
8。8。
Okay, let's do a little quiz. Which of these rooms was the room you found your third mini Stan? Can you remember?
ワーハウス。あのここ3つ目っていうのはここにもなかったっけ？これこれで自分が取った順ってことなのか？
No, no, no. The warehouse was the 4th place you found a Figanli, not the 3rd.
やっぱり
Well, I guess perhaps I shouldn't be surprised. Memories like these are so precious and so cherished that they all just sort of blend together, don't they? You know what? If the warehouse feels like the 3rd place you found a collectible, then who am I to go making judgments?
これ戻れんの？いや、戻れないな。順番大事だったんだ。順番大事にしてたんだ。怖え。
Let's see. What came next? Oh, yes, we found a Figley in this pink room. Oh, well, I can't actually say I remember being in this room, but it's here in the memory zone, so it must have happened.
あったっけこんな部屋。あったか？拾わず進むこともできるのかなこれ。全然覚えてないですけど、このピンクの空間を。あ、これはあったね。
This was the 5th mini stand, and this one was really something special. It was under the stairs. I remember it so clearly. In fact, because this one is particularly special to me, I made a little video to commemorate the occasion. Enjoy.
何これ。いろいろと古いし。あったな、うん、そんな感じだった？クレジット流すほどしかもそんなに人関わってた
Takes you back, doesn't it? I spent a lot of time making that video, but it was 8 minutes I wouldn't have spent on anything
8分で
else.
作ったんだ。8分くらいで作れそうだな。あー、ここね。
And then, Stanley, then we came to the last collectible, the final figurine, right here by the red and blue doors. This memory is the most distinct and clear in my mind, perhaps because it was the one that happened more recently than all the others. Who can truly say how the mind works? All I know is that this is the moment where you picked up a Figley and I thought to myself, yes, that's all of them. They're all collected. It was a moment unlike any other. Except for the other moments picking up figurines, which it was exactly like.
で、ああ、一緒か。もしかしてさっきも一緒だったのかな。 You are in the present.
And then there was no more. Because we've caught up to the present moment. Nothing left to do but move onward into the future. Goodbye, memory zone. No, I'm not done. I'm not ready to move on. Stop the loading screen. Isn't there some way we can stay here, keep enjoying these figurines? Let's just go backwards. We'll do the memory zone again from the opposite direction. See how that feels.
もう一回戻る ?You are in the present. この映像も何
Okay, yes, the room with the red and blue doors. I remember this. I must say, of all the figurines we looked at in our initial tour of the memory zone, this one is the most distinct and clear in my mind. Let's keep going. I want more.
拾うでいいのかな拾っていいんだろうかこれ、どういうこと
And here's where I made that video. Don't you remember the
動
video
画
we
を作っ
watched?
たとこそれ流す必要ある
Yes, I love that video.
気に入ってんじゃねえでこの知らない
Still don't remember the pink room, Stanley.
記
Still
憶
no
ない
memory
や
of
つ
this
ね
one. Good room, though. A solid room. These really were a treat to hunt down. You know, if there had been any kind of reward for finding all of these, it really would have neutered the intrinsic joy of collecting them. I'm very glad we resisted the temptation. Next one.
これ落ちたらなんかあったかなこっち側行ってないぞいけないのあ、いけなくなってるここどっちかしか行けないんだ
This was our second Figley. Don't you remember? Yes, I remember it too. The past is truly a wonderful thing. Why does anyone ever choose to leave it? Keep going. This is it, the very first one we found in the exhibit where I introduced you to the figurines. Oh, I want more memories, Stanley. I want to keep going. What else is there? What came before this?
で集めたけどんん
Look, it's the terrible new content that we were originally sold on. I remember hating it back then, but time does put a rosy filter on everything. In fact, I dare say I'm actually quite fond of it now. Look how much fun the past is. I
ジャン
want
プできなくなってるけどね
more
もう
memories. Oh, yes, the two doors. Who could have forgotten that? A classic memory, this one.
一緒かな
And before everything else, there was your office.
はい。
Is there anything else? Was there something that came before your office? There's something I feel I can remember. I can remember.
オフィスより前を
Yes,
思い出す。
I'm remembering something now. I remember before this whole story got started. Back then I was different. I used to make big decisions. I was passionate. I was skeptical. I weighed each decision with profound thoughtfulness. And then somewhere along the way, I stopped making decisions. I became lazy. And I came up with a character named Stanley to do my thinking for me. He would make the decisions. He would decide which way to go. I would cheer him on as he collected figurines for no reason. Why did I invent Stanley? Was I lonely? Yes, perhaps that's it. Perhaps I needed to imagine I had companionship. And Stanley really did make for a wonderful companion, even if he was a fiction. But I suppose it's grown old. I want to think for myself again. I want to go back to how it used to be. Yes, I can be on my own again. I can do it. I'll be stronger this time. I'll take care of myself. I don't need Stanley anymore. Oh, but he truly was so much fun to play with. You know what? Since we're in the memory zone, how about one more good memory? Let's go back just once and give Stanley one more run of the office, and then I'll retire him for good. I did enjoy telling his story so very much. Okay, here we go. This is the story of a man named Stanley.
なんか、あ、戻ってきた。新エンドっぽい感じのエンディングというかだったな。エンディングっぽかったね今のね。実績動向解除 You can't jump 今今だし実績今んとこ
Just a step through this door, Stanley thought to himself.
3つか
That's all
な。
I need. If I can make it through this door, I can make it through them all.
これをやったのであれで一つゲットして
No matter
で
how
多
hard
分
Stanley
実
looked,
績を一
he
つ
couldn't
ゲッ
find
ト
a
したぞっ
trace
て
of
いう
his
実績を
co-workers.
ゲットしたのと今の実績を解除したのしか得られていない。ああで帰ってきたんだ。まあ今のはエンディングっぽい感じかさっきの動画やばかったなだいたい遊んだかな。
Stanley went around touching every little thing in the office, but it didn't make a single difference, nor did
次あ
it
るし
advance
ここ
the
で終わっとく
story in
か。
any way.
今ねこのゲームなんとセール中なのでセール中で 50% オフの1000いくらかななのでもしね気になる方はちょっとご自身で触って実績を全部埋めてください実績何個あるんだろうな。そう今ちょっと安いのでね。
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
いや面白いな。
Yet there was not a single
セ
person
リ
here
フめちゃくちゃあ
either.
るしな。
Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his bosses. Oh no, no, not again. I won't be part of this. I'm not going to encourage you. I'm not going to say anything at all. I'm just going to be patient and wait for you to finish whatever it is you enjoy doing so much in this room. Please take your time.
ごゆっくりどうぞ。よしではこの後20時から他のゲームインモストかなやるのでどうぞよろしくお願いします。ではまた次のゲームでお会いしましょう。おつびこエンディング。 つもご視聴いただきありがとうございましたエンディングらしいエンディングではあったんじゃないかな今の。まだね赤ちゃんルート行けなかったな。赤ちゃんルート見てないけども、まあ気になる方はご自身でというわけで、はい。いや、スタンリーすごい好きなんだよな、このメタフィクション。メタいのっていいよね。面白いね、なんかねちょっとメタすぎるけど、いや、わかる。ここまでぶっ飛んだゲーム見たことない。めちゃくちゃぶっ飛んでるよな。面白い。そしてバケツを拾ってあんなにルートが広がると思わなかったあんなにバケツゲーだとは思いませんでしたが、はい。でこの後インモストっていう2D パズルアクションアドベンチャー、ちょっと要素多いなまあなんかね20日がこれ面白いよって言ってくれたゲームをねやっていこうと思いますんで、なんかね結構お話がすごいしっかりしてるやつらしいので楽しみですすべてバケツだし、インモストもバケツかもうこの世のすべてはバケツなんだよ。お前たちも所詮バケツなんだそしてビコリもバケツ、すべてバケツです。はいいや、すごいゲームだったな。面白い。ではまた次は8時からなので、ちょっとご飯とか食べてね。はい。I see っていうのかな、なんか知ってるような知らないような。また明日もね他のインディーとか用意してますんで、いろんなの触っていきたいなと思っております。ではまた、次の配信でお会いしましょう。おつびこ。